Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody doing on July 15th already? It's crazy. I'm fine. I hope you're fine. All right. So let's see. So my thought was that we got to survive the first 2 days after the weekend on the derivative side of gold. In other words, we need the gold price to not get killed by these derivatives since it went up so much. And we're fine. The 10 o'clock derivative was not bad. So from 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2402, and it goes up to 2419. The 10 o'clock hit really doesn't happen, and it's a smaller one down to 2413. And then 10 o'clock is going up, not down, to 2435. So it goes up $20. And now it's down a little bit from there. So 2422. But there's no big 10 o'clock drop. In fact, it went up, which is great news. So if we don't get killed by that $50 derivative, we're going to be at 2,500 by the end of the week. Silver, on the other hand, is still getting hit by the derivatives at 30.67. Now, so from our standpoint, we're happy as hell. We survived the down derivative. And I would have said it would have happened today because it didn't do anything Thursday or Friday. So I almost, and I can't say this, but I'd like to think the U.S. has finally gotten out of the derivative. They finally got their butt kicked. We're in the third quarter, and now they're going to attack Bitcoin because that's all bullshit. Where they're trying to keep the price down, but they're not having, the Chinese aren't having anything to do with it. So really good news. Silver's going to go through the roof. I just watched the video about Saudi Arabia going green, like India going green. Saudi Arabia wants to do hydrogen, whatever. They want to go green, whatever. And it's a huge mistake. And they want to build all these solar panels, which what do you need to make a solar panel? Silver. Well, India is making a bunch. So if Saudi Arabia wants to make a bunch, fellas, there isn't that much silver, and silver is not renewable. Gold, you can't destroy. Silver, yes. So once they put silver into these solar panels and they wear out, you can't replace them. So if India is getting all this silver, now you have competition from Saudi Arabia with all this silver. Price goes through the roof, but I hate to break it to them, but there's not that much silver available for you and India and whoever else to build these solar panels. So very curious, but that's why I think Saudi Arabia is going to go out. They're going to go bankrupt, but we'll talk about that when we look at it. All right, so 24.22 silver, great news. If you watch Austrian economics, you understand Say's law. Supply creates demand. Not. I have this thing that I think what Elon Musk is doing I think he's got his head up his ass. I don't think he understands anything. So he tries to make electronic cars. There's no demand. You only make things there's demand for, right? Green shirts. Yes, I'll make them. Then you've got, he wants to send people to Mars. Who the fuck wants to go to Mars? I saw Total Recall again with Arnie, and I don't want to go to Mars. So again, you're spending all this money to do things that there's no demand for. And you think, so I think I got Elon Musk figured out. I think he says, well, if I create a rocket ship to Mars, people will want it. So he's anticipating the market, but not understanding there's no market for it. Who the fuck wants to go to Mars? As soon as you go 100 miles up, you get radiation poison and die. That's why they never went to the moon. That's why they'll never go to Mars, because you can't. There's like, once you get out of the Earth's gravity, so I guess it's like 100 miles up into space, you toast radiation, you're dead. So what these guys are doing, I have no idea. Again, he's a big scammer too. He's like Madoff, Elon Musk. I don't find he has a brain in his head. The electric cars is going away, and so will his chip. Let's all go to Mars. Yeah, we all want to go to Mars. That's I want to go play golf on Mars. I mean, first you can't make it there. Second, what are you gonna do when you get there? There's no shopping. There's no restaurants. You need a spacesuit. Do you have enough oxygen, and for what, a day? And then can you get back? There's rockets just waiting to take you back and forth like airplanes. What an idiot. So I think I got him figured. But a lot of these rich people don't know what to do with their money, so they do these stupid investments. Also, watching the Saudi Arabia thing, that's why these stocks are high. And Google and Apple and Amazon and Meta, the Saudi government is investing their pensions to grow their value in stocks. Oh my God. Why don't they just buy gold and do what Putin's doing and do what she's doing, and that's it? Why do you fuck around? Well, I'm gonna buy stocks. So what happens when the stock market crashes? Buy boss Saudi Arabia, and then if they're lucky enough to get what they're gonna invest all in solar panels, they're the ones with the oil. So I don't know. This prince, he has no idea what he's doing. I mean, he's going into green and solar panels and buying stocks, U.S. stocks that's why they're so high and overvalued. Now we know the buyers of these stocks pushing the prices over. Well, you can invest in them, but the price is way overvalued. And when people start taking their money back because of all this petrodollar nonsense, you ain't going to have anything. All right. Let's go to, I want to get my hair. Okie dokie. I was lying on the couch watching this Saudi stuff, so I must have messed up my hair. All right, let's go through baseball yesterday. We start off, we got the Yanks over 9. And 6-5 Baltimore. We start off with the winner. We got KC with Brady Singer against Brian Bello, and Boston wins 5-4. So he gives up 5. Well, I don't know if he gave up 5 runs, but not good. So we lost with an ace. Oakland, Philly, we got Philly over 8, and the score's 18-3 Oakland. Yeah, you can't figure that one out, but we did know that the pitchers were kind of weak, so got a winner there. Detroit over was just bullpen day and they win 4-3. I would fire the Dodger manager. So this Ramirez guy, now I'm listening on the radio because I don't even know if it's on TV anymore. They're up 3-2 going into the bottom of the ninth. Starts out with a triple to the 180 hitter. And then the next guy bunt. I think there was a bunt. No, I think there was a single. So now it's 3-3. And then there's a single. A guy singled them home. It was tied at 3. And then you've got a bunt attempt where the pitcher fields it and throws it away. Or he doesn't catch it, he drops it, he kicks it, whatever. Then, so you got first and second, so they bunt again because there's nobody out. And he throws it in the left field and lets the winning run. So the pitcher makes 2 errors in a row. Why was he still in the game after the first one? Because I hear it on the radio, oh, he's all nervous, he's all fussy, he's not doing. And I looked at his ERA, he's like a 4.6. So he can't handle bunts, he can't handle pressure. What the fuck's he doing out there in the bottom of the ninth? This is the only pitcher you had. You couldn't use the pitcher you had in the 8th inning. So again, this Dodger manager should be fired. He doesn't. That's the problem with these managers. They don't understand concepts. The guy can't handle pressure. I better not put him out there. The guy's hitting 180. I better not play him. I'm seeing guys pinch hit with 190 hitters to get the guy hits 260, and they'll pinch hit with a 190 because the left, the new pitcher's the same as the guy hitting 260. And so I need a lefty to come in to pitch to hit against the righty, but the guy who's hitting 260 can't hit a righty. So now you wonder, well, okay, none of these batting averages are any good. No wonder we're having such difficulty. The batting averages are all bullshit because there's only 5 or 6 players who actually have the real batting averages. The rest are right-handed hitters hitting against lefties or lefties hitting against righties. So the batting average is inflated because it's against only righties, not lefties. What is going on with baseball? It is gone. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, we have Cincinnati. They lose to Miami 3-2. Unbelievable. Colorado 8, the Mets 5. We have the Mets over 8.5. Colorado 8-5, 13's a winner. We have Pitt under 9, and Pitt wins 9-4. Another crazy. Again, the ERA is kind of fucked up. We got Washington under 9, and they lose 9-3. Colin Ray does his job, but J.K. Irvin, with his 3.49 ERA, gives up 9 runs. So we lose that one. Our lock, Houston under 8.5. We win it. Texas 4, Houston 2. Scherzer against Polanco. So Scherzer holds Houston to 2. Polanco holds them to 4. And beautiful 6. We're under 8, 10 units. So that makes up for some of these 3-unit pieces of crap. We have the Cubbies. They win 8-3. We have the Niners under 7.5. They win 3-2. That was a real strange series. We had it. It went over on Friday. It went under Saturday, and then under yesterday. We got California under 8.5, and it's 3-2 against Seattle. That made sense. We have Atlanta with Chris Sale, another 5-unit play. They win 6-3, and Arizona over 8, an 8-7 game. So that worked out. So overall, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 2-3, 2-4, 2-5, 3-5, 3-6, 4-6, 5-6, 6-6. But we make money because we have the 10-unit on Houston, which wins, and most of the others were 3 units. 5-unit on Atlanta, 5-unit on San Francisco. We won the Frisco under. So that was 5 units on Frisco, 5 units on Atlanta, and then 5 units on Washington, which lost. So we make a little bit on because we hit the 10-unit, and that's Probably all you should play is the 10 and the fives. Detroit, I shouldn't have played. I didn't know who the pitchers were, but they've been hitting, and then finally they don't, uh, they get 4 runs. They play a 7-run game, and then Oakland 18-3 over Philly. What was that? But Philly always plays overs one way or the other. All right, we have nothing today as it's the All-Star game. Nobody cares. Let's see. So what do we got in the All-Star? We got the Nationals against the Americans, obviously. It's on Fox. Oh, we get to see some of the players. Oh, boy. We got Paul Skynes, 0-0 with a 3-0 against Corbin Burns. I don't get this. Oh, no. What are they giving you? All-star numbers? Corbin Burns on Baltimore is not a 6.75 pitcher. He's like a 2-something. So I don't know what you're doing there. And then I don't think they start until Friday. So that's what we got. So baseball, we get a break from, so we can get more into football. Let us look at, let's go through college football week 1. Let's go through the line. Always fun. Let's see if there's any line movements. And I got a bet for you. I know we hate doing this, but there's a Heisman Trophy odds out. And here they are, odds to win the Heisman. Carson Beck, Georgia, plus 800. Quentin Ewers, 900. Dylan Gabriel, 1,000. Milrose, 1,400. Howard, 1,500. Tart, 1,500. The Tennessee quarterback at 1,800. What's he doing on there? The LSU quarterback, 2,000. Cam Ward at 2,200. And Riley Leonard, 2,500. It's all laughable. However, what name is missing? Who's the best quarterback in college? And he ain't on here. Cam Rising. I don't even get why Milrose is on there. Howard, okay. Jackson Dart, no way. Nico from Tennessee, no way. Garrett Nussmeier, no way. Cam Ward, you got to be kidding. And Riley Leonard, no chance. So I think this is the stupidest odds to win the Heisman. And where's Cam Rising? So I would find Cam Rising, and I would put some money on Cam Rising. I don't even see him. What a sleeper that is. You probably have incredible odds there. All right. And I'm not a big one to do that. But I don't even see Cam Rising on there. Yeah, I probably will. All right, here we go. So let's see if anything's moved. We got Florida State, 12.5, 13, over under, still 54.5. That hasn't moved. SMU's up to 24 from 23.5, over under 55, 56, 57. Take your pick. We'll go with 56. That's the 24th. Then we go to the 29th. Minnesota, 1.5, 50.5 to North Carolina, hasn't moved. Jacksonville State, 4.57 to Coastal Carolina. That's gone from 56.5 to 60, back to 57. What the fuck's going on there? All right. Michigan State, 11, 48.5 to Florida Atlantic. This is August 30th now. Oklahoma, 41 and a half, 59 and a half, 60. Hasn't really moved. We've got Western Michigan and Wisconsin. We got Wisconsin 24 now and 56 and a half to Western Michigan. We have TCU. I see a 7.5. I'm going to grab it. And 61 to Stanford. And now October 31st, we've got Georgia. Let me get out of there. Georgia 13 and a half, 47 and a half to Clemson. We've got VTech 13, 54 to Vanderbilt. We've got Maryland 21, 47 and a half to Connecticut. 21, 47 and a half. Okay. We've got Pitt 23 and a half, 53 and a half to, that's down from 55. To Kent, Clark Kent. Good game here. Penn State, West Virginia. We got Penn State 10 and a half, 51 and a half. West Virginia, two good quarterbacks there. And again, remember, Penn State has the Kansas offensive coordinator, and Kansas really lit it up last year. We've got Miami somehow favored over Florida, 2.5, 54 and a half. It's funny how people think Cam Ward's good, and he's not. And they're betting him like they're looking at the 2 years at North Dakota State or Carnegie or Incarnate Ward, but at Washington State, he's not that good. So I'll be shocked if Miami wins this game. Okay. UTSA 22 and a half, 49 and a half over Tennessee State, who's new in Division One. Big Nebraska 27 and a half, 49 and a half against UTEP. Eastern 1.5, 49 to UMass. Nothing's moved much. Ohio State 50, 58 to Akron. Okay. Northwestern 3.5, 43 to Miami of Ohio. We've got Syracuse 14 and a half, 47 and a half. Against Ohio, good MAC team. We got Indiana 19 and a half. Excuse me. Indiana 19 and a half, 50 and a half to Florida International. We got Texas 36-59 to Colorado State. Not much move, half a point here and there. Boise State 10 and a half to 57 and a half to Georgia Southern. We got South Carolina 20, 55 and a half to Old Dominion. Now that's a big move. That was 17 and a half. Now it's at 20. Over under from 54 to 55 and a half. Oh, just a second. Um, so South Carolina, 20 and a half, 55 and a half. Okay. I don't know why the line goes up. Ooh, South Carolina is terrible. Uh, North Texas, South Alabama -7. 65. Up from 6.5. North Texas is the live dog there. Houston and Vegas. Houston 356.5. Good coach at Houston. Keep an eye on him, but I don't know if it'll be the first week. Vegas, their quarterback went to USC, unfortunately. So we'll see what happens. Troy, Nevada. Troy -15.5. 47 to Nevada. Nevada stinks this year, but Troy's got the Notre Dame coach, the assistant coach, and he was terrible. So good luck, Troy. Alabama, 31, 59.5, 60 to Western Kentucky. Interesting. How much can Western Kentucky put up on them? But Alabama should score, but Milrose is okay. There's no Heisman hopeful. That's ridiculous. Rice, 11.5, 47.5 to Sam Houston, and they suck. Michigan, 20.5, 48.5 to Fresno State. And I think they're going to get all they can handle with Mikey Keene. Again, Michigan does not have a quarterback, does not a new defensive coordinator, new head coach. Lost their running back, lost their offensive line. Yeah, good luck there. And Harbaugh leaves them stranded. I don't know. They got Fresno State and Texas. They could easily start 0-2. They weren't that good yet last year. They just played the most simple schedule. It was easier than the Lions. So it's a lot when you get really easy schedules. You can have strange. You don't understand it, right? You just think, oh, look how good they were. They went undefeated. Yeah, they didn't play anybody. Play high school teams. Texas A&M, Notre Dame. We got A&M 1-49. Should be a good game. I like the under. I think it'll be low scoring. UCLA, Hawaii. We got UCLA 13 and 55.5. UCLA might not be too bad. Their running backs coach is the head coach, and then the defensive line coach is the defensive coach. So they lost a good defensive coordinator. Supposedly, how much was the defensive line? How much was he had a lot of talent? And now he goes to SC. We saw Monty Kiffin from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to SC, and they gave up 80 points a game. So I'm not sure that that's going to matter. The bottom line is they still don't have talent on defense. UK, Kentucky. Kentucky 25, 50.5 to Southern Miss. Southern Miss is pretty bad. See, now I can look at it after studying the Bible for a couple of weeks and doing the classes here. Like yesterday, we did the Big 12. You get more familiar with the teams. I know Southern Miss sucks. Kentucky's okay, but we'll see what they can do. They are at home. Southern Miss does think this will be interesting. Georgia Tech 20.5, 57.5 to Georgia State. Georgia Tech will definitely score a lot. Charlotte, James Madison. James Madison is 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10. Interesting. And 51.5. So depending on what you want, you might take James Madison 8.5, or you might take Charlotte at 10. Charlotte really sucks. Arizona State 7 and 46.5 to Wyoming. Arizona State's terrible, but this is kind of out of conference. Arizona 30 and 54 and a half to New Mexico. Arizona has the stud quarterback. Our game of the game of 9-1. The other game is Georgia over Clemson. You got Notre Dame A&M, and then you got LSU USC. We've got LSU -6, over under 62 and a half. And BC Florida State 21 and a half, 51 and a half. I don't know why this would have went up. And that be your game. So for fun, let's go. I'm not going to waste time with college football win total. Let's go for college football national championship odds. You guys like fucking around with this shit. So we have 5 teams in here. We got Georgia plus 300, Ohio State plus 400, Oregon plus 800, Texas plus 850, and Alabama plus 1,500. Where's Utah? I don't see Utah in here. Funny. You got Georgia and Alabama. I'm not sure about Alabama. They got to play each other. Ohio State plays at Oregon. Texas plays Michigan. Michigan's not even in here. And then Texas will play Alabama, Georgia, because they're now in the SEC. They're going to have it tough. So I don't buy Texas. So you got 3 SEC teams in here and 2 Big Ten teams. Really? Where's the Big 12? Where's Utah? Why isn't Utah in this? How do you come up with three SEC teams? Well, they're going to knock each other off. You can't have 3. I would say Georgia, and then I would probably go Oregon at 800 because the game's at Oregon, and they want revenge. They got the quarterback. Ohio State's got they all 3 have the real strong defense, really strong quarterback. And then the last team should be Utah in there. So they're at least plus 1,500. So I would, if you can find that at like 5,000, I would bet Utah. Utah has the defense that's as strong as Georgia's, and Cam Rising, who's the best quarterback in the country. And it's funny, he's not even listed under Heisman. Just unbelievable. All right. All right, so that be college football for week 1, and as long as it's a light day with no baseball to take all our time up, let's go to the NFL week 1. Let's potty. So August 1st is the first game. The Bears 4 over Houston. Yeah, I'd bet that. I'd bet that under. There's no quarterback out there. See, Caleb should play 3/4 of the game. God knows you need the experience. Well, we don't want to get him hurt. Well, let him go play tennis. What do you mean you don't want to get him hurt? Stroud needs to work too. They both should play at least half the game. You got to get them in a live game to get them into live action so they know what to do when it's live. These coaches have their heads so far up their ass, they don't know what they're doing. So we'll see. Let's not be too hasty, but Caleb should at least play the first quarter. God knows. If it's Notre Dame, we know what we're going to see. All right, week 1 NFL. Let's see anything change. KC 2.5 and 47. No, that's even better. All right. As of now, and I'm going to read the quarterbacks as I see it. Lamar against Mahomes. I'm sure that's what we'll get week 1. Green Bay, Philly on the 6th on Friday from Brazil for some reason. I know a lot of the people in Brazil are going to miss the soccer game in Pele to watch Green Bay and Philadelphia. We got Philly 1.5, 48.5 in this game. Love against Hurts. Tennessee, Chicago. We got Chicago 4.5, 43.5, basically. We got Will Levis against Caleb, more than likely. Are these pro quarterbacks or what? Jesus. We got Houston 248 to Indy. Now we're on Sunday. It's down from 2.5 and 48. Okay. I got Stroud against Richardson. Sure, Stroud. Richardson, we got to see if he's healthy to play. He'll probably play anyway, even if he's not healthy, but that's what you got. Arizona, Buffalo. We've got Buffalo 748.5. Allen against Kyler Murray. Another one of these Oklahoma USC quarterbacks who can't, he keeps looking for that New Mexico game. When do we play New Mexico, Coach? Or as Urban Meyer said, it's like every week's Alabama. That's Jesus. Oh God. What did he think the NFL was? I mean, Jesus. Cincinnati and New England. Cincinnati 9 and 42.5. We got Burrow against Brissett. Go Joe. The Joes. The average Joes. We got Atlanta 2.5, 43 to Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson against Cousins, and Penix could be in there. Cousins with the Achilles. Is he going to be better? I read Aaron Rodgers is fine with his Achilles. He starts Sunday when training camp. I think it opens in a week, except for the Chicago and Houston, the Hall of Fame game. They start a week earlier. So Russell Wilson, and then against Cousins, he'll throw his 3. Cousins will be in trouble against this Pitt defense. Okay. New Orleans 5 and 40.5 to Carolina. Steve Young against Carr. Poor Steve. Will he? The thing is, will he throw 10 touchdowns this year is the question. And then I like how they try. Well, he'll be much better this year. Oh, really? He learned how to read a blitz? Since when? Bullshit, he'll be better. The guy sucks. Either you're good, like Joe Burrow, either he was good or he's not good. Justin Herbert, he was good or he wasn't hurt. These guys that are just, you throw them in and they're good. Montana and Brady, you throw them in and they got it. Either you got it or you don't. It's like teaching a guy how to hit. Either you can hit or you can't. You either have hand-eye coordination or you don't. And if you don't, you can't teach it. All right. Miami, 3.5 and 48.5 to Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, who sucks, against Tagliabue, who sucks. What's funny is Tyreek Hill saying that Tua should get a big should be get the top quarterback money, and you're like, Hill, if he does, you're gone. You can't afford to pay your quarterback $40 million and your receiver $30 million. It doesn't work. You can't have $30 million into the receiver and $40 million into. That's half your salary. Now what do? You got 40 other players. You're going to get shitty defense and shitty line. And where are you going to put the other money? That's the problem. You can only pay one of them. You can't pay 2 of them. So they know if they pay Tag and he's not worth it. What is it? What is he done? Who's he beaten? Name a good team Tagliabue has beaten. Even in college, go back. Georgia, no. Clemson, no. His freshman year when he came in relief of Hurts is when he won. Otherwise, Didn't beat anybody that was really like LSU and Georgia, Clemson. Not a chance. All right, so we got Tag against Lawrence. Both suck. We have the Giants -1, 41.5 to Minnesota. We got Darnold against the great Jones. Oh my God. This is pro football with these guys? Darnold sucks. Jones sucks. How do you go out and sign, not only draft Daniel Jones and then sign him to a big deal? Because he could run the ball, but he's a quarterback. He needs to throw it. Well, no, because he runs. Like Lamar, he can't throw either, but we're going to pay him a lot so we can lose the big games. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, that's the thing. If they would win the games, I would say, yeah, the running quarterback doesn't work because their team's got faster guys on defense than your running quarterback who was good in college. Giants mini, what a shit game that is. Seattle 4.5, 42.5 to Denver. We got Bo Nix against Geno Smith. Bo Nix is the better quarterback there. I don't know why people don't like Bo Nix. Did you watch Oregon last year? And at what point are you saying he's not good? Against which team was it? Washington? No, I don't think so. San Diego 3.5, 43.5, 43 to Oakland. San Diego 3.5, 43.5. We got Minshew against Herbert. But more importantly, we got Brock Bowers for Oakland. That'll be he's the difference maker. Him and the defensive lineman, who I tend to block out for some reason on his name. If there's 20 points scored in this game, I'll be shocked. Cleveland and Dallas. Oh, now we got Cleveland 1.5 and 44 to Dallas. We don't know if we have Prescott. He's in a boot. I'm sure he'll try to play. But if you're in a boot, you probably got either a high ankle sprain or you broke it. You're not in it for a sprained ankle. So you fucked up tendons or something or broke a bone. So is he going to be ready? Well, we'll see how he is. I bet they don't even use him in the training camp. So he's going to come in real weak. Go Clemson or go Cleveland, beat Navy. Dallas, big trouble. Tampa 41.5 to Washington. We got Jalen Daniels, LSU against the Baker Mayfield for Tampa Bay. We've got LA and Detroit. We got Detroit 3.5, 51. Yes. Why is Detroit favorite? I have no idea. Stafford against Goff. Now, LA traded away Goff to get Stafford. Who's the better quarterback? Yeah, Stafford. It's a mystery why people like Goff. I mean, they're like forgetting all his time in the Rams. They forget the Super Bowl where he couldn't get a first down because he can score for Detroit sometimes. They ignore the weak teams they played, and they ignore the Dallas interceptions and the game against Baltimore and the second half against the Niners. Let's ignore that. Never happened. Let's focus on the Carolina, Atlanta, Tampa Bay games. Let's focus on that. Okay, I give you the Ram playoff game. He had a good first half. Didn't show up in the second half. Had a good first half. Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing that they're like the second best team. There's Kansas City, and the team with the best chance to get to the Super Bowl is Detroit. They won't win the division. Sorry, folks. It's Green Bay has the much better team, much better coach, much better defense, and Love is equal to Goff, I think, from what I saw against Dallas and the Niners. No problem with Love. I'm not a big Love fan, but he did have a good junior year. The Rams are better than Detroit. They're going to show you. The Niners are better than Detroit. And we'll see. Well, Dallas isn't, but maybe Philadelphia will return to form. Detroit's like fifth or sixth in the conference. They be lucky. They might make the playoffs because there's only a few good teams. The Rams and Niners will be in the playoffs as well as Green Bay, and then whoever Dallas or Philly, probably Philly because Prescott. But that's it. But you got Kansas City, Cincinnati, you got the Jets, you've got San Diego probably make it, Denver, we'll see how Bo Nix does, and Baltimore and Pittsburgh with Russell Wilson. You're loaded in the NFC, that's for sure. And then we've got the Monday night game. We got the Niners 5.5, 45.5. We got Aaron Rodgers against Brock Purdy. If Aaron Rodgers can play the whole game, very live dog with Aaron Rodgers and that defense. And Saleh is the defensive coordinator of the Niners. If anybody knows how to defend and how that defense works, it's him. He's the one that put it together, not the second guy who went to Houston. So that be your week one college and week one pro. Now we'll make the picks in class, which I'm waiting for my IT guy. I'm frustrated today. I'm waiting for the trust. I'm waiting for the job, and I'm waiting for my programmer to update Teaser King, which I talked to him last week. Oh, I'll do it tonight. And I said, well, let's just do it by the weekend. And it's still not done, but it'll be $25 for the pro class, and we'll go through every game with the picks, locks, whatever. And then college, we'll do the same thing. Here, I just went through the lines, quarterbacks, basic stuff. But I'll actually go through the picks that way. So you only get the picks privately in class, $25. That's it. And then obviously, if you can't get to YouTube, then you can buy them like you usually do. $100 a week or like 600 for the year, and you can get all the picks. Just go to Teaser King and purchase the picks, get the password, plug the password in, pull your picks down that way. You don't have to listen to me walk through everything. But if you want to, you can do either way. Here you can ask questions in class. All right. Super Bowl odds, Chiefs, 49ers, neck and neck. Offensive Player of the Year award, Tyreek Hill. All right. Enough of that crap. Let us check gold before we go into our YouTube. Well, we're holding steady, 24-21. So now it's kind of a dead time. It's 2:00, it's 4:00, and it's going sideways. I think at about 8:00 or 7:00 it starts. You get Asia in it. So right now you can see it's down, and that's it. That was the U.S.'s best attempt at 2:00 to lower it, and then they're probably closed now at 4. So 24-21. So that's very good. I don't think we're going back down to 23. I think they're petered out. I think they get down, maybe down to 24, maybe 23.75. We saw 23.92 on Friday, and then it went to 24.20. Anyway, so we're 24.21, up $10 for the day. Silver at 30.70. That's all you can expect. Let's see who's WhatsApping me. All right, so let's go to WhatsApp or let's go to YouTube. Hey, I'm on YouTube. All right, we're gonna watch. I'm hoping I don't get blocked on any of these videos. I don't know. Now, teaching you economics, what do I teach you? Limited is better than a lot. 50 counts are worth a lot more than a million count. 21 trillion is worth less than, you know, 1 trillion. So the more they print, the less it's worth. This is the theme. This is Austrian economics. This is supply and demand. Perfectly done. This is why you can't use MMT logic and Keynesian logic and say, well, we can print as much as we want. You can't print as much as you want. That's the point. You can only print. You have to keep it limited. As soon as you make it unlimited, you're fucked. Now let's go back to my, here's my medium of exchange. It must be number 2. It's portable, and number 2 is it's scarce. Your medium of exchange must be scarce, which means not a lot. And yet, what do? They print and print and print, and for some reason think not a problem. So that's how I arrived that the dollar's worthless, because they printed it to death. We saw it with the Nazis. We saw it in Venezuela. We saw it in Zimbabwe. We saw it in Greece. We saw it in Sri Lanka. We saw it in Pakistan. We're going to see it in Japan, and we're going to see it in India, and now we're going to see it in Turkey. They've all printed to death their currencies. Thank you, George Soros and the MMT boys. So they're fucking everybody's economy up and loving it. But that's fine. We saw Hitler go after all the gold, even though they pulled the video because it was trademarked. So what did Hitler do? He World War II was a gold robbery. He's a mafia guy, and he just took the gold. So he went to Czechoslovakia and Poland and all these countries in Europe to steal their gold. France outsmarted him by getting rid of the gold before he got there. That's what World War II was. Then he was going to Russia to get their gold, and he was coming to America to get our gold. He was in New York Harbor. They had Russian submarines there, or German submarines there. Now there's Russian submarines there. But so that's because you can't print gold. Gold is limited, and you can't make more of it. That's the beauty of gold. That's why gold keeps its value. Why these chuckleheads don't understand it, I don't know. All right. So first I'm going to run you through, why is Rolex so expensive? Well, I think we understand this without even watching this.
You don't really care.
Okay, why is Rolex so expensive? Well, it's in demand. It's limited. It's got gold in it. Some of them have diamonds in it. So it's something where there's huge demand and low supply. It takes a year to do a Rolex, right? They don't do it quickly. They're not mass produced. It's Switzerland, and it's very slow, methodical, and they double check it and they make sure everything's fine. That's a Rolex. It's extremely it's the image. It's, you own a Rolex, like the gold standard, like Mercedes, like Ferrari, very classy. So that's why it's worth a lot. We can watch a little of this thing, but that's why it's worth a lot. There's demand for it. It's jewelry. It's more than a watch, right? It's a jewelry. It's a status symbol. I have a Rolex. I have a Ferrari. I have a Mercedes. So it's the image that it's rich and it's art. It's very beautiful. I mean, you're really not buying it for a watch. You're really buying it because it's a piece of jewelry and a piece of art, and it's limited, so you'll pay more for it because it's limited. So why is it expensive? Because it takes a year to make. There's not a lot of them. There's limited supply, high demand. There's more demand than supply, hence a high price. What else is there more demand than supply? Oh yeah, gold. Yeah, there's a lot more demand than supply of it. And with the central banks, what you really don't see, all the central banks buying the gold is there is no more gold out to buy. So what you see at ST Bullion and JD Bullion is people selling them gold back. So the gold's going from left to right, right? Peter to Paul. It's not new gold. It's somebody selling it to them, and then they are selling it to you. So they are buying it. And of course, there's a premium. Some people are like, why is it there? Because, oh, I got to show you that video too of that idiot. But this is what it is. It's all about is it's limited. There's huge demand. Hence, you wanna. That's why you want to get it, right? And it's popular. So if the demand's there and the quantity's small, the price goes up. That's normal economics. 100 people want a 50 count Mahomes. It's going to be worth more. A lot of people want the Montana rookie card because there's not a lot of PSA 10s. There's more Montana fans who want it than there are 10s. Price goes up. The Mantle card, everybody loves Mantle. There are a lot more demand for Mantle as a PSA 9, 75,000. You ever see a PSA 10 in 1965, 1968, 19, any of his 1950 cards, it's over a million, I'm sure, easily. And it's probably 10, 20 million for his rookie card. For a PSA 8, probably. If you could ever find a PSA 10 of his rookie card, you'd never work a day in your life again. All right, let's go to Rolex. Why is Rolex so expensive? Which we already know the answer. Very limited, and it's status symbol and huge demand. But we'll let him tell us.
Did Rolex get to the top of their industry, but they did it while maintaining a James Bond level of security about their practices. So what's going on behind the laser beams, barbed wire, and 10-foot high concrete walls? Well, we don't know, but we did a bit of digging, and this is what we found out. Rolex is known as a fancy Swiss watch company, but it was actually founded by two British brother-in-laws. Brothers-in-law? Brothers-in-law? Hans Wilsdorf and Alfred Davis founded the company in 1905, and after a terrible branding choice, naming it after themselves, Wilsdorf and Alfred, they thankfully renamed company to Rolex. And then a few years after that, in 1919, the gentleman moved the company from London to Geneva, Switzerland to avoid import taxes. They chose the name Rolex, a word they totally just made up because it sounded easy to pronounce in any language. Hans was on a double-decker bus in London when he said, "A genie whispered the name in his ear." So there's that, I guess. Our buddy Hans, who was the brains behind the operation, while Alfred was more of the sugar daddy in this situation, envisioned a watch worn on the wrist. Now, to us in 2022, that may sound like the dumbest sentence in the world, but you have to remember that back then, people were still using those fancy timepieces with the chain attached to it. And these things were actually not that accurate at all. They were mostly used as a status symbol for the wealthy. Bit of foreshadowing there, perhaps. However, time did matter for those who actually had to work, and for those workers, they needed to get to early shifts at factories. Back then, there were no alarm clocks, so they had to make sure that their employees woke up on time, and they would employ knocker-uppers to knock on the windows of people that needed to get up. Makes my iPhone alarm seem actually kind of tolerable. So this idea for a watch that you wear on your wrist was really kind of revolutionary, at least for men. Women were already wearing wrist watches, but they were marketed as bracelets at the time. The high society men at the time stuck it out with their fancy gold chains and laughed at poor Hans for his crazy idea because, jewelry's for girls. That's how they talked back then. But Hans did not give up on his dream, and he quietly tinkered and perfected his idea until the world was ready. And then the world was ready. Suddenly we were at war, and people started to realize that having a timepiece tucked into your waistband wasn't exactly efficient in battle. So they strapped their watches around their wrists. When the war ended and it became evident that wearing timepieces on your wrist was actually on fleek, Hans did not miss his shot. Rolex was right there at the brink of all these cultural shifts with big, put me in, coach energy.
I'm ready to go in, coach. Just give me a chance. I know there's a lot riding on it.
And their watches were instantly popular. The demand for accuracy also increased because men got used to operating on strict time schedules during the war. And from the get-go, Rolex watches won several awards for their innovation and their accuracy. Now, remember in a previous video where we talked about how Carhartt went from a reliable workwear brand to a luxury streetwear brand with a strange amount of universal appeal? Rolex's story is kind of like that, just more 007. The company has always been extremely focused on perfecting the wristwatch. One of their original goals was to produce utilitarian watches that athletes and extreme adventurers could wear. In 1926, the company released the Oyster, which was the first ever waterproof watch. They partnered with a professional swimmer who wore the Oyster while she swam across the English Channel, proving that it still worked after 10 hours in the water. This marketing plan worked so well that they kept at it, and in the next few years, Rolex watches were being worn by pilots flying over Mount Everest, drivers going 300 miles per hour in motor races, divers going 300 meters and taking part in other extreme sports. The company was doing everything that they could to prove that their watches could survive any type of extreme situation. While this did prove that their watches were very durable, it also kind of built some hype around the brand. These guys were like the original Red Bull energy drink, but like a fancy watch you wear on your wrist. With an already established reputation for high quality, extremely durable products, in the 1960s, Rolex very deliberately moved into the luxury watch market. Over the years, they had been perfecting their watches and over time slowly raising their prices, but the Rolex brand had more than practical ambitions. To solidify their luxury status, they needed ice. And in case you aren't a hip 30-year-old millennial like myself, that means diamonds. You can cut the burp out. Rolex started adding gemstones to their watches in the 60s, and that bling put them in luxury territory, but it wasn't just some fancy rocks that demanded thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their watches. Rolex watches are legendary because nobody really knows how they're made. Rolex, like every brand, has a corporate persona that drives the image and the lifestyle that people aspire to when they purchase their products. Rolex, by being extremely secretive and elusive, elevates their brand status by playing the sort of 007 character that they're so famously associated with, which was a marketing plan that they definitely did on purpose.
Nick, say goodbye to Felix. Man talk.
Liberty Mutual customized my car insurance, and I saved hundreds. With all the money I saved, thought I'd buy stilts. Hi, honey.
Nick, say goodbye to Felix. Man talk.
Yikes!
They make all their watches in-house at their headquarters in Switzerland, which is heavily guarded and has a no photos policy. We're talking underground safes, iris scanner, heavily armored trucks, and all that other Fort Knox style shit. It sounds kind of awesome. Every single watch takes a year to make and goes through extremely rigorous testing to make sure that it's up to snuff before it can be sold. They even have their own science lab where they have their own gemologists quality checking every single diamond and gemstone before they put them in their watches. Now, of course, bear in mind that this is the information that news agencies and industry reps have been told and assumed to be true, because nobody has actually seen all of this for sure. Visitors are strictly not allowed at their facility. But a super spy watch factory built into the mountainside is just one part of this amazing story. Rolex also controls the way that their watches are bought and sold. They don't sell any of their watches online, so you have to find a certified retailer near you to buy one. But it's not just as easy as going into a store and picking out a watch. Despite their constant production, the demand for Rolex is so high that retailers are frequently out of stock, and you'll most likely end up waiting on a multi-year wait list to get the watch you want. And this is not a...
Okay, so there you go. It takes a year to make. There's strong demand, so you want it. They can charge you more because you want it and you want a Rolex, you're going to pay for it. So the price goes up. And you got to find it. You can't even go online. So you're going, there happens to be a jeweler a mile away that I could get a Rolex if I wanted, but you're going to order it and it's going to take a year because then they're going to have to make it. And it's so detail oriented that when they actually make it, it takes a year. Right? They're looking at the diamonds, they're looking at the gold, they're making the watch, somebody's inspecting. And you're not the only one buying it. So it's like going to a crowded restaurant. You got the cooks, but you got 100 people ordering, they can't get it out fast enough. So that's why it's so expensive. It's a luxury thing. There's gold, there's diamonds, a gold bracelet, the beautiful Rolex, the Rolex name. So it's really a luxury, almost a piece of art that's extremely limited with extremely high demand. That's why anything's expensive. That's why when I tell you about gold, everybody loves it. There's huge demand and it's very limited. And the price is way cheap. I mean, if the Rolexes are going for 50, 60,000 and you're waiting a year for it, this is my warning to you about gold. See how it always comes back to gold. You're going to want to get gold. It's going to hit 20,000 an ounce. Not a lot. I mean, this is 60,000 for Rolexes. Now you can buy a $20,000 or $30,000 Rolex I showed you yesterday. But the idea is, there's multiple Rolexes, like there's multiple gold, and yet you go into the store, say I like it, okay, 60,000, okay, you're gonna wait a year. What are you gonna do? And then it's gonna create this. So now the demand is there because you have to have it, and that's why they're very expensive. That's where gold's going because the difference is. You don't need a watch. I don't need a Rolex, right? I can buy a painting or whatever. Gold, there is nothing else. There's gold, there's silver. You got this crap floating around, which is going away, right? So I got this, which is worthless. And I got this, which is, see, these are not limited, right? What did I say? It must be, what was the term? It must be scarce. Money must be scarce. Is this scarce? No. Is this scarce? 21 trillion, any way you slice it, is not scarce, not including the 130 trillion outside the US. So these are not scarce. So they're not worth anything. Just simple, let's use Rolex logic. Rolex is expensive because it's beautiful. It's an artwork. It's a luxury item. And it's very limited. And so it's not dragging in the normal guy who makes $50,000, maybe even $75,000, $100,000, probably not buying a Rolex. However, the rich people, the millionaires, are probably buying Rolex. Or you got to wait a year. Oh, okay. So, yeah, let me have 3 of them and I'll wait 3 years. I'll wait 1 year for 3 of them. It's probably what they do. And it's a nice collection. And it's, I don't know that you're wearing the Rolex, maybe to formal things, but probably not every day. And, but they're very limited. They're very beautiful. Therefore, it's a very big price and it's only going to go up, the price. Now, I was watching one of these videos that said, it's cheaper to buy a used watch than a new one. And the reason is because you don't have to wait for it. So, or was it the other way around? No, I think the used ones were worth more than the new one. Let's finish this up. But so what they were saying was the used Rolexes were more expensive than the new ones because you could get it right away. I'll find that video. Let's finish up a couple more minutes.
Law, though, it's a feature. Given the secrecy around Rolex production practices, they could easily increase the number of watches they make by tomorrow and make a ton of money in the process. But they don't. By limiting the supply of watches that enter the market, they create scarcity, which, if you know literally any economic principle, means higher prices. This drives shoppers with big wallets to the pre-owned Rolex market, which is often more expensive. Between speculative markets due to the shortage of supply and the exclusivity of the brand, we see Rolex becoming a wearable investment. Vintage Rolexes sell for way more than their original listed price and often become wrist-worn collector's items for the wealthy, similar to having a Banksy on the wall in their mansion. But you would think with the literal millions of dollars being spent on these watches, the influential investors would be more keen to know a bit more about the mysterious practices that they use to create them. But they're definitely not. Turns out, if people are getting rich off of stuff, they don't really give a shit how it's made. And this applies to basically everything that comes under that luxury label. If you're buying a Rolex, it's probably for 2, maybe 3 reasons. 1, you want to look rich. 2, you want to invest your money into something that will likely make you more money down the road. And 3, you needed a watch. Given those reasons, argue with me if you want, you don't really care how it's made. And in fact, knowing how it is made might actually reveal some less than desirable realities about your purchase that would affect its value negatively. So it's actually in the Rolex owner's best interest to avoid any potential issues and continue buying into the hype to solidify their investment and their public image. And we have seen this before. Every once in a while, a luxury brand gets called out, and just like when Malfoy tries to fucking kill Dumbledore, but still somehow gets to come back to Hogwarts, the punishment rarely matches the crime. Louis Vuitton was recently found out for burning their unsold bags to create a sense of exclusivity and avoid having to sell them for a discount. But despite pretty serious backlash and headlines about this controversy, people are still looking the other way and spending $5,000 on a handbag. And this brings us to Rolex's practices, which obviously we can't tell you anything about because, just like the cartel, they're not exactly bringing their business plans to show and tell. Like, honestly, if a Rolex exec had to do a bring your kid to work day, that poor little twerp would just end up spending 8 hours with a burlap sack over their head. Rolex uses a variety of gemstones, gold, and stainless steel in their watches. And we all know by now that mining those minerals are often linked to extreme human rights violations, not to mention the environmental harm that they cause from extraction. But since Rolex doesn't divulge any information about their mining processes, it's hard to know how bad it is. Across the board, traceability is a huge problem with Rolex materials in that it basically doesn't exist. When it comes to their gold, Rolex is very proud to let us all know that they have their own in-house gold foundry to refine their gold, which apparently makes it even higher quality somehow. But once again, we have no idea where they get their organic materials. But here's one of the things about Rolex that actually blows my mind. They're a non-profit. That's right. This is amazing. I can't freaking believe this. Back in the 1960s, Hans moved the entire business into this non-profit model. And we don't entirely know why, but this is my theory. So the whole company is technically owned by the Wilsdorf Foundation, and it owns and controls 100% of the company. Now, by definition, a nonprofit is in existence to create revenue for a particular cause. But one side benefit of the nonprofit structure is that you don't have to disclose anything about how the company works, including your financials. Now, they have a very fancy website that includes a bunch of different initiatives that they contribute to, but they don't have any details about what those initiatives do or how much money they spend to support them. Now, as a devil's advocate here, I have to say that building a business around a nonprofit structure is typically going to allow you to avoid that shareholder pressure. Basically, if you own 100% of the business and you don't have to tell anybody how it's doing financially, you can make more long-term investment decisions and build the business with more longevity in mind. And that seems to be what Rolex is doing, because they don't seem to be overly invested in making as much money as physically possible. And so far, the business seems to be doing well, despite the fact that we don't know anything about it. Now, as society seems to be constantly introduced to more terrible things that we need to care about, we want to feel like the money that we're spending is supporting companies that don't make things worse.
All right, we don't care about that. So, as he just said, I was going to take you to the other video, that the used ones are worth more than the new ones. So it's just like gold. Gold's going to go up. So if you're bitching, well, see, the difference is you have Comex keeping the gold price down. You don't have anything keeping the Rolex down. So had you bought Rolex 10 years ago, a $10,000 Rolex, it's probably worth 30 or 40,000 now. Part of it is because of the gold and the gold price going up and the demand for Rolex and the fact it's limited, very low supply. And that's what gold is. Gold makes Rolex look like a child. I mean, gold is extremely more demanded and it's extremely limited. Even though there's 250,000 tons at 32,000 ounces a ton, the demand far outweighs the demand, the supply of it. So they want a billion tons, and there's only 250,000 tons. So that's why the price is worth a hell of a lot more than what they're saying. What I'm saying for gold, there's no substitute. So when the dollars go out and the fiat currencies, everybody will run to gold because there's no other money. You could run to Rolex and you do fine, or you could run to the Mantle card and you do fine. But with gold, it's much easier. It is money. So you don't have to trade the Rolex in to get money. The gold is money. And so you go on a gold standard. They could go on a Rolex standard, I suppose, but there's not enough Rolexes around. So that's why you go to gold. But see how it all relates. So very limited, strong demand. And the difference is you don't need a watch, but you will need money, and that will be gold. And so gold is nowhere near its price. And that's how it all correlates, right? Look at how much Rolexes are. Now, yeah, they're limited, but look how expensive they are. It's image and it's limited and there's high demand. And do we have that in gold? It's limited, it's luxury, and there's high demand. So if you have it limited and you have high demand, you have high price. So when I see gold at 2,400, I'm like, this is a joke. Especially if Rolex is 60 grand and the Mantle cards are 60 grand. Does it make any sense for gold to be 2,400? And then for people that, well, we can't have a high gold price because the dollar. No, gold has nothing to do with it. How come Comex and Mantle don't have anything to do with the dollar? Gold is money. Well, yeah. So, but the dollar, you've printed too much of it. That's why the dollar is worthless, is you keep printing it. It's got nothing to do with the gold price. I don't understand that concept at all. It makes no sense. All right, let's go from here. So we talked about Hitler stealing all the gold in World War II. Now let's go to Saudi Arabia. And
if you're getting old like me and you want to sell your home near Detroit or anywhere on this map for the high, Saudi Arabia is betting.
Saudi Arabia is doing something I would ill advise. They're trying to go green. They want to go to windmills and solar panels. They have all the oil. What the fuck are they doing? Then they want to turn it into hydrogen gas and sell the hydrogen gas. What are we going to do with hydrogen gas? We all know that solar panels and windmills don't work. It's got to be windy and sunny. Okay, let's say there's more sun in Saudi Arabia. but they're not selling the electricity. They're turning it into, I guess, hydrogen or nitrogen, one of those, and they're going to sell that. And what do you do with that? I don't know. So that's one of the problems. And they also want to make electric cars. Who are they going to sell them to? So this prince has all these ideas. He's got all this oil money. It's burning a hole in his pocket. So he's planning to do a lot. The problem is there's no fucking demand for any of it. This whole gold green. However, it's going to make us a fortune in silver because he wants to go with the solar panels. He's going to need a shitload of silver. India is doing the same thing. They need a shitload of silver. Well, there ain't a shitload of silver to make all these solar panels. Therefore, they'll be fighting over our limited amount of silver, and they're not going to buy it off of comex because comex apparently doesn't have physical. Comex is not there to sell physical. Comex is there to set a price, but you don't really want to. You're not trying to buy it. Like Rolex, you go to the jewelers and he sells you a Rolex. Well, there's no place, there's no store that I want to buy 10 tons of silver or gold. There's no store for that. And comex is not really set up to be the store for it. There's no warehouse. They have a little with the ETFs, but really there's nothing set up. So keep that in mind that they'll have to go to the mines and then they'll get a price. They'll see the demand from India for solar. They'll see the demand for Saudi Arabia for solar. And who else, I don't know. Maybe other countries start, hey, we need it. There's not enough silver for it. And as I just showed you with Rolex, you have an item that there's huge demand for and limited supply, the price goes up. Now you can try to price fix. I see them not price fixing Rolexes, and I don't, so they're trying to price fix gold and silver, but that's going to die. There's going to be too much action on silver and gold with what's happening. You need gold for the money, you need silver for the money, and you need silver for the solar panels and the electric cars that apparently Saudi Arabia is doing. It's a huge mistake. They're going to go broke because there's no demand. So if we go right back to Say's law, it's supply creates demand, and then you build it. I want a green shirt. Somebody makes a green shirt. I buy it. You don't try to sell a pink shirt and nobody wants it, or an orange shirt and nobody wants it. You buy what people want. You make what people want. They'll buy that. They'll buy what they want. And that's the key. The bakery with Adam Smith, they sell the scones. They liked them. The baker across the street saw it. He started making scones, and then there's competition. And that was the best. But he saw that somebody wanted scones, so he made them. These guys are selling electric cars because of this 2030 crap, trying to force people to buy electric cars. Well, wait a minute. You don't want us to have money. How are we going to buy electric cars? And solar panels, and we're not going to use gas when we all know it can't work. We know it's impossible to have that many electric cars. It's not enough power, not enough electricity. We also know that solar panel and wind doesn't work when it's cloudy out, and when there's no wind out, it doesn't work. What do you do for electricity? So batteries, we know, don't hold the charge. You're charging your phone every day, my laptop, you're always charging it because it doesn't work. All right. So let's look at Saudi Arabia and see what they're doing, and let's dissect them from an Austrian economic standpoint.
Trillions of dollars on its future. And the stakes couldn't be higher. With the Vision 2030 project, the de facto ruler, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, wants to transform the country. The huge infrastructure plans have attracted attention all over the world. The NEOM project, which includes the proposed Line City, is one of the most ambitious urban projects in modern history. The name NEOM is derived from a Greek and Arab word meaning new future. The idea is to turn an empty desert into a thriving, futuristic metropolis. The line will be shaped like a more than 100-mile, about 170-kilometer wide, 1,600 feet or 500-meter tall behemoth made out of glass. Or that was the plan. Some sources told the Bloomberg News Agency that the project would be scaled back from 100 miles wide, 170 kilometers, to only 1.5 miles wide, about.
After this video, your life is never going to be the same. So I need you to stop whatever.
Only 1.5 miles wide, about 2.4 kilometers, by 2030. This dramatic reduction raises some questions. Is the whole Vision 2030 idea at risk of collapse? If the project doesn't succeed, both the Crown Prince's reputation and the Saudi economy will be in shambles. But as it turns out, the fancy mega projects are not the main focus. The most important goal is to create whole new sectors in the Saudi economy. This includes strategic investments in hydrogen, mining, and commerce. Vision 2030 will be a multi-trillion-dollar vehicle to achieve these goals. And with their huge oil wealth, the Saudis have resources to support this. So let's take a deep dive into the kingdom's bold blueprint for 2030. But first of all, we have to understand what motivates Vision 2030 to begin with. Right now, Saudi Arabia is heavily dependent on oil, accounting for 42% of its GDP and 62% of government revenues. The country's oil producer, Saudi Aramco, is the biggest company in the world in terms of pre-tax income. In 2023 alone, it posted $247 billion in profits. More than 80% of this is going to the Saudi government. But despite all this free oil money, it wants to move into tourism, logistics, and digital technology, amongst others.
So you can see the first problem is Saudi Arabia. They have this big oil company and all the profits go to the government. So you don't have a real private sector, which is what's key to growing an economy. So you want people out working and you don't really want them paying taxes. You want to tax sales tax maybe, and you want very low taxes and let them grow and thrive. That's how the U.S. though, right? I'm in finance. I go golfing and I eat and let the private sector grow. But Saudi Arabia doesn't do that. 80% of that whole oil company goes to the government. Well, the government doesn't produce anything. So they have a very weak private sector. That's a big problem because we know the government is not as efficient as the private sector. I'm going to go shopping. Oh, wait, New York strips are $20 a pound. I don't want it. I'll take the other steak at $10 a pound. That's shopping, or we're going to substitute A for B. That's what you try to do. But the government doesn't do that. They don't care how much things cost. So it's not a realistic thing with the government being so powerful. This is the problem with most of these countries. There's very little private sector. It all goes to that's why like Putin's so rich, because everything flows back to him. So you make whatever oil or cars or anything that they make flows to Putin. So he's got all the money, and Daria needs help with rent because she doesn't make anything. I'm sure the taxes are probably high, but I'm not sure if the taxes are high there, but doesn't make anything. And then most of it, the company probably makes goes back to the government. So that's the problem with most of these economies. The government takes all the money and then it doesn't get to the people. And that's why all these people are poor and everybody's trying to relocate across the border crises that because they're not treated, because the government's stealing all the money. And that's a problem. You got all these people that they want to work and they don't get the benefits. All right.
You might think that this is because the oil is running out. Although it will definitely happen at some point in the future, the problems aren't as urgent. Saudi Arabia has the world's second biggest oil reserves, estimated at 268 billion barrels in 2017. Its proven oil reserves represent 17% of the world total. Currently, Saudi Arabia is producing about 12 million barrels of oil a day. At this rate of production, the country can last 60 years, give or take. And during this time frame, the profitability of Riyadh's oil industry is pretty much secured. To understand this, we have to look at the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, also known as the OPEC cartel. The organization controls around 80% of the world's oil supply. The OPEC cartel is using this control over the oil market to its advantage. Even though the cartel controls 80% of its oil supplies, its members only account for 38% of global oil production. So, OPEC is artificially limiting the oil supply, which is inflating the commodity's price and making it more profitable.
Oh, wait, they are limiting the supply and it's more expensive. So my point gets proved time and time and time again. I know you understand and get my point, but every time we want prices to go up, we limit it. But what's inflation? You're printing. And what happens to prices? They go up because, well, prices don't go up. The value of the dollar that's getting printed goes down. So the oil, they limit the supply, price of oil goes up. Here, you're printing it, so the price of these go down because you keep printing and printing and printing. They need to limit the supply, but they won't because they're trying to buy votes and they don't want to give up that control. So that's the difference. So limited goes up, and when you print too much, it goes down, and that's what the dollar is. Gold, you can't print that much. That's why it will go up. It has to.
On top of that, OPEC's dominance will only increase over time. Other oil producers like the US and Canada will slowly drain out their reserves, while OPEC is deliberately keeping its reserves intact. In the future, the OPEC cartel will have even more control over oil prices and thus the profitability. And despite the green transition in many countries, global oil demand is expected to increase for many decades into the future. This is because of developing and growing nations like
the best way to start selling on Amazon is not with physical products. It's Amazon's other goldmine,
like India and Indonesia. So Saudi Arabia can probably keep pumping out cash from its soil. If it was only about oil, it would be more like a Vision 2080 plan. In reality, the Vision 2030 plan is about something else, combating a stagnating Saudi Arabian economy. When we look at the country's GDP per capita at purchasing power parity and constant prices, it becomes obvious. The current level of wealth is pretty much the same as it was 30 years ago. This proves that oil can only achieve so much, especially when we take into account the country's growing population. During that same 30-year period, Saudi Arabia's population has doubled in size. The population growth is slowing down, but it's expected to continue at a steady pace for many years to come. In a way, Saudi Arabia is outgrowing its oil economy. In order to provide jobs and wealth for its growing and young population, the Saudi government needs new economic sectors. It didn't have to look too far to get a solution for this problem. Apart from oil, Saudi Arabia has one other key asset, a huge amount of capital. Its public investment fund is one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world, with nearly $1 trillion in assets. The money comes from the huge trade surplus that Saudi Arabia has when oil prices are high. The fund was created in 1971, and it's currently run by the Crown Prince. He has set an ambitious target for the fund, as he wants to triple it to $3 trillion in assets by 2030. Recently, this was downsized to $2 trillion by 2030, which is still a huge figure. To put that into perspective, Saudi Arabia's current economic output is a little over $1.1 trillion a year. Essentially, the fund will be an investment account worth 2 times the country's annual income. It will be funded by transferring stakes in the Saudi Aramco company, which currently has a market value of over $7 trillion. Now, the idea of a sovereign wealth fund isn't brand new. The economic planners in Saudi Arabia have probably looked at Norway as an example. Norway has some oil reserves, ranking 8th globally in oil exports. In 2022, these exports were worth nearly $60 billion. A lot of money for a country of only 5.5 million people. What makes this even more crazy is what the Norwegians did with this capital. Their government decided to create a national pensions fund, which has become the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world. with over $1.6 trillion in assets. The first deposits in the pension fund were done in 1996, and the compound effect did its magic. If it were to distribute the money to all of its citizens, every Norwegian would get nearly $300,000. This is because the Norwegian Central Bank has invested the money into stocks and obligations. The small country now owns about 1.5% of the entire world's publicly traded companies. For example, it has a $33 billion stake in Apple. On top of that, it owns more than $100 billion worth of U.S. debt. Last year, the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund actually outperformed oil exports in terms of income. To some extent, the Saudis are employing the same strategy with their national funds. It has bought billions of dollars worth of shares in public companies, such as Uber and Meta. Still, these are minimal.
Okay, so now we can see why those stocks are so high. Apple, Meta, I don't know about Uber. So what's two problems that they have? Norway has all our debt. So when we default, Norway's fucked. When the stock market crashes because everybody now wants to get out of US dollars and gets it into their currency. So if I'm in Germany, I want to get out of US dollars because I see it's crashing. I sell my stocks and houses and any US assets and bring them into German assets and buy gold or German stocks or whatever they're going to buy. What's going to happen in Norway? They're billions of dollars in debt. What are you fucking kidding me? That's going to go, and then the Apple stock's going to tank. Now you know why it's so expensive, why it keeps going up. Because it's being bought by Norway, and now it's being bought by Saudi Arabia, and they're buying Meta. Why the fuck they're buying Meta, I don't know. It doesn't make any money. They sell advertising and people's information. Yeah. Can't they just get that from the government? Don't they have it already? Saudi Arabia? Go to Russia for it. I'm sure they have all our information. So with that said, that's what you have is that's why the stocks are going up now. These governments don't know what they're doing. And to say Norway's got debt of the U.S. treasuries are out of their fucking mind. China's selling it back. Japan's selling it. Nobody wants it. It's not worth anything. What are they doing with the U.S. debt? Are they insane? So Norway's in trouble. Saudi's going to be in trouble if they're fucking buying Meta stock when the market crashes. They're going to lose all this money. Why? Stupid question. Aren't they just buying fucking gold, right? Seems like it'd be a whole lot easier. No risk in the portfolio. No, we want to buy stocks. Okay, good luck there.
Investments in an almost $1 trillion portfolio. The vast majority of the funds will be used for something different, the Vision 2030 plan. The Crown Prince wants to use the capital he has at his disposal to reshape the Saudi economy. Before we dive into all the strategic investments, we first need to understand his vision. Mohammed bin Salman thinks this is very important, saying that all success stories start with a vision. For Saudi Arabia's future, he has defined 3 core pillars. The first one has to do with Saudi Arabia's soft power. The Crown Prince wants to maintain and solidify the country's position as the leader in the Arab and Muslim world. The 2 holy mosques lay the basis for this, as Saudi Arabia houses the most sacred sites in Islam. In economic terms, the country is also the undisputed leader in the Middle East. But there's a lot of competition in the Middle East when it comes to soft power. Countries like Iran, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates also have a lot of regional influence. That's why the Vision 2030 plan is partially a sales pitch to promote Saudi Arabia. Mohammed bin Salman wants to use the program to improve his country's status as the most advanced in the region. The second pillar has to do with investment. MBS wants to become a quote-unquote global investment powerhouse. There's still a lot of work to do in this area. In 2023, total foreign direct investment into the country stood at $11.4 billion. The target for 2030 is $100 billion. nearly a tenfold increase. Meanwhile, the Saudis also want to use their capital to gain international influence. He has said that there will not be any investment or development in any region of the world without the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund having a say. This may be a bit of an exaggeration, but it can be achieved to some extent. Global foreign direct investment was around $1.37 trillion in 2023. With their planned $3 trillion fund, the Saudis are able to have a big impact. They can afford to invest a few billion dollars here and there. Just like China did with its Belt and Road Initiative, the Saudis will try to gain friendships and alliances this way. The third pillar is that Saudi Arabia wants to transform itself into a logistics hub. It has a strategic location between Asia, Europe, and Africa, and it sits right next to some of the most important waterways in the world. This gives the nation some major advantages in trade. Through new ports, railways, and airports, it can connect with the global economy. The Saudi government wants to use this logistics potential to support domestic manufacturing companies, as well as regional trade. With the Vision 2030 plans, there is an estimated $133 billion going into new logistics infrastructure. By building new ports and expanding old ones, the Saudis want to quadruple their container volume to 40 million 20-foot equivalent units. The kingdom also wants to triple its rail networks, with 5,000 new miles of track, about 8,000 kilometers. This will be supported by 40 new logistics centers. There are also massive plans in aviation, where the country says there are $100 billion in investment opportunities. This includes new airports, such as the King Salman International Airport or the Red Sea International Airport. But there's one thing Saudi Arabia needs in order to achieve these three pillars, and that's private companies. Currently, the private sector only contributes 40% to the country's GDP. In comparison, this number is in the range of 80 to 90% in the United States. The Saudis hope to...
See, that's why we're so successful, is we have all the private sector stuff, and they don't. And so it sounds like a lot of government run stuff, which we know how inefficient the government is. And your country gets more wealthy when everybody's working, and then it's a domino effect. I get a job, I go work, I spend my money, so that company, I go to the grocery store, I go to Target, I go to Costco, and they become more wealthy, and they grow, and they hire more people, and they work, and then they go and buy more stuff, and they take trips and get food and all that. So it's like a big down. Everything gets better. That's why the Great Depression was very hard, because nobody was working, and the companies, the private sector was hurt, and therefore there was nobody growing the people, and the only jobs were these roads and railroads and government jobs, which aren't very productive at all. They don't pay a lot, and they're just, they don't allow for a lot. Building a street doesn't promote anything. There's no profit in it. Nobody's paying for it. You're just taking tax dollars. Say we're going to build a road. That doesn't, that's not how you do it. You open a store and you sell gold and silver, and you sell baseball cards, and you sell shirts and clothes, or restaurants and shoes, and then it grows and grows and grows. And that's how you grow the economy. And what's happening a lot is Amazon is taking away these stores. So instead of having a store in Detroit, of Amazon, which is basically like a global store, which is hurting because you have some employees, but then that's all being replaced by robots. You have less competition. So it's really hurting the economy on Amazon, things like that. Apple, there's still, I can still have an Android phone. I don't watch Apple TV, so it doesn't really, but this is why you want private sector. And this is what the whole Middle East problem is. And what Russia was all government run stuff. And that's communism. And you see, communism doesn't work. You need free market, private sector, not public sector.
Increase the private sector's contribution to 65% of GDP by 2030. With private businesses, the economy as a whole will advance. This will have a positive effect on Saudi Arabia's status, foreign investment inflows, and logistics sector. Still, this won't happen by and of itself. The kingdom needs something to spur the private sector's growth. This is where the Public Investment Fund comes in. By throwing massive amounts of money at the economy, there will be more than enough lucrative contracts and seed capital. In the newly assigned special economic zones, companies can flourish. But this focus on industry will be useless if there's no infrastructure to support them. That's why the industry where Saudi Arabia is putting the most money is in huge infrastructure projects. The idea behind this is very basic. Once you build the cities, the businesses will follow. This is where the NEOM project comes in. It is a mega project.
See, that's backwards. You get the business, the people follow to go work. People don't just go to a city and then the business follows. No. It's the other way around. The businesses go where the people are, right? And if you open up if you open up a business, people will follow it. That's what I should say. Depends what business. Restaurants will go where people are. But if you're opening up a General Motors or a Ford, people will follow it. So in other words, if I open up a plant, then people will apply for work and relocate and move there, like I did with Toyota. So I moved there where the plant was. So it depends on, it's not, he broad brushed it. No, restaurants and clothing and stuff like that, banks go where the people are who have money for it. But if it's like these infrastructures, the people will go to the infrastructure. You don't go to the people. They see a spot, they go there, and then people come to work.
Project in the corner of Saudi Arabia.
They make a lot more money. This is ridiculous, these commercials.
Watch where you're going. You could have hit my car.
I don't care about the fucking
corner of
commercial.
Saudi Arabia's northwest Tabuk province. In total, the planned investment into the area is expected to be $1.5 trillion. This includes the Line City, but also various smaller projects.
See, we lose
Where the
concentration.
country says there are $100 billion in investment opportunities. This includes new airports, such as the King Salman International Airport or the Red Sea International Airport. But there's one thing Saudi Arabia needs in order to achieve these three pillars, and that's private companies. Currently, the private sector only contributes 40% to the country's GDP. In comparison, this number is in the range of 80 to 90% in the United States. The Saudis hope to increase the private sector's contribution to 65% of GDP by 2030. With private businesses, the economy as a whole will advance. This will have a positive effect on Saudi Arabia's status, foreign investment inflows, and logistics sector. Still, this won't happen by and of itself. The kingdom needs something to spur the private sector's growth. This is where the Public Investment Fund comes in. By throwing massive amounts of money at the economy, there will be more than enough lucrative contracts and seed capital. In the newly assigned special economic zones, companies can flourish. But this focus on industry will be useless if there's no infrastructure to support them. That's why the industry where Saudi Arabia is putting the most money is in huge infrastructure projects. The idea behind this is very basic. Once you build the cities, the businesses will follow. This is where the NEOM project comes in. It is a mega project in the corner of Saudi Arabia's northwest Tabuk province. In total, the planned investment into the area is expected to be $1.5 trillion. This includes the Line City, but also various smaller projects in the region, such as a floating industrial city called the Oxagon, and more than 10 futuristic tourist resorts. Still, the more than $500 billion linear city takes the crown. The vertical city is planned to be higher than the Empire State Building and longer than the distance between New York and Philadelphia. But it will only have a width of about 650 feet, or about 200 meters. Along the entire length, it will be covered by mirrors to reflect sunlight. The inside of the city will look like it comes straight out of a sci-fi movie. There will be no cars, because all transportation will go through a rail network. And because the city is so dense, most things will be within walking distance anyways. On top of that, the metropolis will be fully powered by renewable energy. Just to show how ambitious the Crown Prince is with the project, he once expected the city to reach a population of 10 million people. For comparison, that's about 2 million more than New York. Other government estimates expected the line to have 1.5 million inhabitants by 2030, a much smaller target but still an ambitious one. The plan is to attract tons of people from other countries, perhaps from other Arab nations, like Egypt. Even though the plans with Neom are already impressive, there are also various other infrastructure projects in the country. With the Russian project, the government wants to expand its existing cities with modern neighborhoods. The other projects are focused on tourism. The Saudis have planned a $40 billion tourist destination called Qiddiya, close to the capital city, Riyadh. It is planned to become the largest entertainment city in the world, with an area of 129 square miles, about 334 square kilometers, hosting a Grand Prix, a theme park, and roller coasters. There's also a
Okay, is there demand for that? Are we all running to Saudi Arabia to go to this theme park or whatever the hell he's just saying? Again, it's not Say's law. You're trying to do something and then hope it works instead of knowing there's demand for it. So is everybody, you got 10 million people in this little dome city. You think 10 million people are going to want to be in this dome city with no cars and what they'll take trams and escalators and all the moving walkways to get to different stores? And it'll drive me nuts. You want your freedom. You don't want to be tied in with all these other people. But it does go along the line of you won't own your car and you won't own anything. You'd rent your space probably there and then you go to work. Sounds disgusting, like concentration camps to me. But, you know, everything they're doing, nothing is Say's law. There's no demand for any of this. There's no demand for people to move out to the city. How much is it going to cost? People don't have the money. They need the work. They're not going to just move there and then hope this thing comes and then what, go to work? No. Nobody's moving if they don't know there's a job there. That'd be like me moving to, Vegas. So can I get a job there? I don't know. It's all casinos. I'm a finance guy. There's not a lot of finance jobs here. So that's one of the big problems is they're assuming a lot, and he's spending a shitload of money, windmills and solar panels, huh? And electric cars. Okay, which we haven't gotten to yet, where he needs silver for the electric cars, which he doesn't have. Okay, let's go back.
$1 billion Red Sea project to build resorts on an archipelago of 92 islands. Another $63 billion will be going to the historic city of Diriyah to develop the ancient site into a tourist destination. But the more ambitious the projects are, the more prone to failure they become. That's why the huge infrastructure projects have also received a lot of criticism. If the more than $1 trillion infrastructure projects go wrong, the results could be catastrophic. And some of the fundamentals of the projects aren't that promising. The Lion City will be built in a relatively unpopulated area, and there's a reason why very few people actually live there.
It's a desert.
The only natural resources that the area has are sand and salt water. It will be a headache just to get drinking water and food to the city. Of course, the project's planners already know this. It's not impossible to make cities in the deserts, with Dubai as an example. With massive water desalination plants, you could get drinking water from the sea.
Oh, like Las Vegas.
Do we get the gun or do we go for more troops? Let's get more troops. Perfect decision. We wiped them out. Now we got the AK.
Nation plants,
so
you could get drinking water from the sea. And a port on the Red Sea will allow for imports, including food. But the sheer size of the project is a fundamental issue. The more than 100-mile or 170-kilometer wide city will be wider than Tokyo. With huge projects like these, the costs can often turn out to be significantly higher than expected. The Saudi finance minister has acknowledged that some of the projects need to be adjusted as time goes on. The adjustment for the Neom city is, well, pretty dramatic. Speaking anonymously, one official told Bloomberg that the line would only reach 1.5 miles, or about 2.5 kilometers, by 2030, with just 300,000 residents. This would be a reduction of 98.6%, Other Saudi government officials said the scale of the project wouldn't be changed, but the timeline of completion is probably not as optimistic as initially hoped for. One of the reasons for this is a financing issue. The Public Investment Fund, despite having hundreds of billions of dollars in assets, doesn't have enough cash. The fund's cash reserves have dropped to $15 billion, the lowest level since 2020. In order to finance the tens, if not hundreds, of billions of investments in 2024 alone, this is not enough. The only options to get more cash are to sell some of the portfolio holdings, or to get debt from bond sales. On top of that, foreign investments in the Vision 2030 aren't as big as hoped. Meanwhile, constructing a metropolis from scratch isn't just hard to do money-wise. According to the country's finance minister, a longer time is necessary to build factories and get sufficient human resources. Getting the raw materials to the site and hiring enough construction workers isn't an easy task. This is probably where the reality hit home for the Saudi economic planners. It would be much safer to start off small and not to spend nearly half of the GDP in the span of 6 years or so. These medium-term decisions are done for the quote-unquote optimal economic impact. The economic planners don't want to overheat the economy with too many investments in too short of a time frame. Still, the NEOM project is far from canceled. Construction on the foundations have already begun, and some smaller parts of the projects have had more progress. The Sindala Islands luxury resort, for example, is set to be completed sometime this year. We should also keep in mind that infrastructure is not the only part of the Vision 2030. Because it's only a fraction of the planned investments, the risks are diversified and spread out. The Saudis are also planning to spend money on strategic sectors, including mining, transportation, renewable energy, and digital technology. The push into mining is a bigger opportunity than you might think. Saudi Arabia has an estimated $2.5 trillion in mineral resources. There are strategic reserves of phosphate, gold, copper, and rare earth metals. With the rise of electric vehicles and renewable energy, some of these minerals have become very important. That's why Goldman Sachs predicts $170 billion of investments in Saudi Arabia's mining industry by 2030. And the country doesn't plan to sell these resources on international markets. The Crown Prince wants to use the minerals to produce EV batteries and solar panels. To secure even more mineral supplies, Saudi Arabia has also been buying minority stakes in foreign mining companies.
So we all know that you need silver for the electric cars and the solar panels. Where are they going to get that? There ain't a lot of silver left, and India needs it for their solar panels, and China needs it for their electric cars. So that's why they've been keeping the gold price down. China is trying to build these electric cars. You need silver for the battery. Now India is doing it, and now Saudi Arabia is doing it. There's not that much silver available to do it for all these countries, as well as the solar panels, which take up a lot of silver. So this is why I say they're going broke. They are rich in gold. However, all these things cost money. And I'm not arguing they're rich in gold. I'm saying the way they're planning this, they won't have any money left because what they're doing, electric cars, there's no market for, or, even if there are, they need the silver, which they can't get, and the solar panels. So they're doing a lot of Elon Musk bullshit where they're going off somewhere. There's no demand. They don't get Say's law. It sounds like they're a bunch of Keynesians where, well, we'll just build it and create demand. But you can't create. Nobody's running to Saudi Arabia to go to this theme park. We got enough here. We can go to Disney. We don't need. I'm flying to Saudi Arabia for a week to go visit a theme park. Yeah, I don't think so. Most of the Middle East people are poor. I don't think anybody in Europe's running to Saudi Arabia's theme park. There's a Euro Disney in France, in Japan. I don't really see it. So I don't know what he's doing. It's a bunch of bullshit that really there's no demand for. Okay. All right. These minerals, very good. And the gold, very good. He's got oil. He's got plenty of oil, but all his money he's taking, it should go into gold. What the fuck's he doing? I want to build all this. Yeah, but nobody's running to Saudi Arabia for it. All right.
Through the Manara Minerals Investment Company, the Public Investment Fund has purchased a part of a Brazilian mining company. It's also looking to buy shares of mines in Zambia and Pakistan. These strategic investments will guarantee Saudi Arabia the natural resources it needs for its other planned industries. One of its ambitions is a local EV industry. Riyadh wants to produce 500,000 electric vehicles annually by 2030.
And who are you going to sell
It
them
has
to?
only produced 800 last year, so this is incredibly challenging. So far, the Saudis have struggled to get car companies.
If you're getting old like me and you want to sell your home near Detroit or anywhere on this map for the
Is there enough
So far, the
commercials
Saudis
on this
have
fucking thing?
struggled to get car companies and auto parts suppliers to their country. This is because the kingdom lacks the supply chains and the domestic market for it. But even the
Okay, so they want to make 500,000 electric vehicles. Who are you selling them to? There's no demand for it. You can't force people to buy them. Oh, and by the way, you need all the silver to make the batteries. This is the problem. You're building a male investment. You're building something nobody wants. You can't force people to buy electric cars. They don't want them. Between getting, losing power in the heat and dying in the car, that the car is catching on fire. There's not enough electricity and you got to plug it in. And this is Saudi Arabia, who is oil. What are they doing? So this whole thing sounds ridiculous. Part of this 2030 initiative that's done by George Soros will never work. Again, you're trying to do things there's no demand for. I'm not selling my car to buy an electric car, never. I mean, I'll walk before I have to take an electric car if they won't let me use mine. But that's just bullshit. But hi, Greg and John. The Saudis are rich in gold. Okay, fine. I understand. Well, maybe. I don't know how much gold do they have. They don't have as much as the Russians and the Chinese. Okay, let's say they have 5,000 tons. Okay, well, they need money to do what they're trying to do here. So they're going to sell their gold to get money to do all this. And it's all going to blow up in their faces because it's not any good. That's my point. All right.
the underlying economics of it aren't that promising, the Crown Prince hopes to create a car industry by throwing enough money at it. Through seed investments, he wants to attract.
I'm going to throw money at the. And what does that mean? So you can only do it if there's buyers. You can't throw money at it. You can't throw money at the theme park or at this other thing. All the shit he's doing, there's no demand for any of it. He's just doing it. I got all this money, I'll just do it. And then he's going to buy stock. And when the stock market collapses, say goodbye to Saudi Arabia, say goodbye to Norway. They're going to get fucked. This is the problem. They're trusting the U.S. like a bunch of idiots because they don't understand Austrian economics either. I need to get the Norway finance minister on the phone and tell him he's a fucking idiot. He's going to bankrupt them. He's going to Madoff his country. And Saudi's right behind. I don't know what they're doing. China and Russia do it with their own money, and there's demand for what they do. Anyway.
Businesses in this growing market. One example of this is the country's 60% stake in the EV startup Lucid Motors. The tactic is to grow the company with billions of dollars in funding and then move some of its factories to Saudi Arabia. Lucid Group has already moved one assembly plant to the country, although the manufacturing is still done in Arizona. This could change in the future, though, as plans have been drawn for a Saudi factory with an annual capacity of 150,000 cars. The nation is also working together with the Taiwanese Foxconn to start a new electric vehicle brand named Seer. The company is already building a $1.3 billion factory in the King Abdullah Economic City. Meanwhile, the Saudis are investing in the supply chains of the EV industry to support these factories. For example, they want to get a large share in the global EV battery market, which is the most expensive component in electric vehicles. The Australian company EV Metals is constructing a battery chemicals complex in the country. Only time will tell if the Saudis manage to turn these strategic investments into a real-world car industry. Green energy is a sector where the chances of success are a little higher. Because of an abundance of sunlight in Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of potential for solar power. The goal is to produce 40 gigawatts of solar energy annually by 2030. 70% of the investments into these solar parks will be done by the Sovereign Wealth Fund. This renewable energy isn't just going to go to domestic consumers. The kingdom wants to become a large exporter of hydrogen fuel, which is a carbon emission-free energy source. It can be created by a process called electrolysis, which transforms electrical energy from solar plants or wind turbines into chemical energy. The hydrogen can be turned into ammonia with added nitrogen from the air, which makes it more cost-effective to transport. At the Neom industrial region called the Oxagon, the Neom Green Hydrogen Company is building an $8.4 billion green hydrogen plant. By 2026, it will create 600 tons of green hydrogen per day. In order to power this hydrogen facility, a new solar park is being built with a 2.9 gigawatt capacity. This will be supported by a new solar panel factory in the Tabuk region. About 1.7 gigawatts will come from the new Neom wind farm. But hydrogen can also be created by the blue method. This has nothing to do with the color. Blue hydrogen is formed by natural gas through a process called steam reforming. There is a carbon dioxide byproduct, but this can be captured and stored underground. For Saudi Arabia, this is a way to turn its valuable fossil fuels into low-carbon energy sources. Saudi Aramco is already experimenting with blue ammonia, which is blue hydrogen combined with nitrogen from the air. The first shipments of the fuel have already been sent to Japan, which wants to use it for power generation. But all of this renewable energy and EV stuff is not per se because Saudi Arabia cares so much about the climate. What's more important is that it sells and attracts investment. Because the Crown Prince wants to get foreign investment into the country, these green energy projects are perfect. Several American firms have already promised to invest in Saudi hydrogen. The Public Investment Fund has also issued green bonds, which have attracted billions from foreign banks and investment funds. And more importantly, there is an export market for hydrogen because of the carbon quotas in many nations. The McKinsey consulting firm claimed that global demand for hydrogen could reach more than 666 million metric tons annually by 2050. Saudi Arabia sees itself as the leader in this transformation. It wants to produce 2.9 million tons of hydrogen annually by 2030 and 40 million tons by 2035. The adoption of hydrogen will take a lot of time, but the growth could be exponential if it succeeds. And Saudi Arabia has a unique advantage, as it can leverage its existing trade networks. Recently, Saudi Arabia signed a memorandum of understanding with the Netherlands, which would become the main destination for Saudi hydrogen to Europe. Another strategic sector with an enormous growth potential is digital technology, which is also included in the Vision 2030 plans. One of the major areas in this field is AI. The Public Investment Fund plans to invest $40 billion into the technology, working with the U.S. venture capital fund of Andreessen Horowitz. This would make Saudi Arabia the world's largest state investor in AI. There's also a focus on digital infrastructure, which will be useful for developing and hosting technology. An example of this is the Saudi Vision cable in the Red Sea, which also passes along the Neom district. This is the first high-capacity cable in the sea, spanning nearly 700 miles, about 1,100 kilometers. It is also making progress with data centers, which are really important for the AI future. The kingdom is now developing a $1.5 billion data center in Riyadh and a $1 billion data center in Jeddah. And foreign businesses are also looking at the country to build their data centers. Amazon has launched a $5.3 billion investment program there. And Apple, Google, and Microsoft are also in talks with the Saudi government. All in all, it's clear that the Saudi government is thinking a lot about the country's future. And if we purely look...
That's why those stocks are going up. Saudis and Norway are putting a lot of money into those stocks, and that's why. But it's not seen. It's just if come, maybe it'll work. This is the problem. AI. What is AI? I mean, it's really nothing at this point. Artificial intelligence. It's getting us these algorithms and all the bullshit for football and baseball, and it doesn't work. I don't think you can just replace us with somebody who's artificial intelligent and they can't make the decisions or the things. And then once they're fuck up, then what do? They're going to cost them a lot of money. So I'm curious where AI is coming from. Again, it's this 2030 crap with the electric car and the solar and the windmills, and all of it's junk. None of it's wanted, and it won't work. So I don't know that AI, is there demand for AI? I'm not even sure what it is. Is it the robots are taking like at Amazon where they go pluck the thing and wheel it over and drop it in, and then, oh, there's no employee. What if they grab the wrong thing, or what if it's labeled wrong? They won't know. There'll be a lot of mistakes with AI, but you can't take the jobs away from everybody. Then who's going to buy anything for AI to dick around with it? All right, one more minute.
And the amount of planned investment, it seems like Saudi Arabia is ahead of most of its rivals. But creating an economy all from scratch isn't an easy task. Building entire cities and economic sectors inorganically takes a lot of wisdom, if it can be done at all. The ideas are truly visionary, but in the end, it has to be economically feasible. After all, investments are only smart if they earn a good return. So will the investments in infrastructure, mining, renewable energy, and tech pay off? Even the best economists will say only time will tell. The biggest takeaway is that Saudi Arabia is willing to gamble, which could pay off big time or turn into a huge failure. The political career of the crown prince, as well as the position of the entire nation, are at stake.
I don't know about that. Okay, you've, as Gregor John says, they got a lot of gold. Why are they doing this? Surely they don't need the money. They don't need the risk. So what are they doing it for? I mean, it's just this 2030 crap. Well, we'll have windmills and solar powers and electric cars, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, all of which there's no demand for. That's why I say I see Saudi, ending for sure. They're going to try to do this, but as we know, if there's no demand, it will fail. And he doesn't even know the cost. First of all, he's gonna get killed with all the stocks he bought, because when the market crashes, he's gonna lose trillions in the market that he put in there. So, and nobody's really talking about the dollar going out, right? It's funny how you hear all this. Well, he's attracted U.S. Companies to come, and he's got this the electric cars, and what are you going to use? You're not going to have dollars. See, nobody's facing reality. The dollar is gone. You've printed it to death. Okay, we'll have a new dollar come out, USD 2, which will be worthless the moment it's printed if it's not backed by gold. And since we don't have any gold, it's worthless. I love how our gold is all rented out, but we still say we have gold. We don't have gold. If it's rented out, it's not ours. It's gone. We've sold it, but we want to call it rented instead of sold. So you sold your house. Well, yeah, but it's really rented. No. Is it yours? No. Well, it still shows it's my house, but I rented it out. And, so it's not mine anymore. So all the gold's been rented out to China and India, and they've made jewelry out of it. So how the fuck is it your gold? You don't have it anymore. You can't get it back. You can say it's rented, but it's sold. And that's how the U.S. has their 8,000 tons is it's rented, which means it's sold, which that's why they say it. So they don't have any gold. We ain't going on the gold standard. So all this guy's little plans are going to fuck, because he don't have U.S. dollars. He's going to get killed in the stock market, which he doesn't understand. He's in business with all the U.S. companies, which rely on dollars, which they won't have, which they don't understand. It's just amazing how stupid people are. TK, Trump wife is attractive. She's Ukrainian. Of course she's attractive. Okay. Do you want to see Russia, or do you want to hear this gold guy? Let's go to Russia. I caught this one.
On Medicare. What if you could qualify today?
This is Moscow today.
Welcome to Russia, a country with a rich history, stunning landscapes, unique architecture, and, of course, home to some of the most beautiful women on the planet. Located in Eurasia, Russia is the largest country in the world by land area, spanning vast regions of Eastern Europe and Northern Asia. Russia covers over 17 million square kilometers, which accounts for about 1/8 of the Earth's habitable land area. From Kaliningrad in the European enclave to Vladivostok on the Pacific Ocean's shores, Russia's geographical diversity is impressive. The country boasts everything from the steppes of Eurasia to the Caucasus and Ural Mountains, the boreal forests of Siberia, and the Arctic tundras. With a population of approximately 145 million people, Russia is the 9th most populous country in the world. The population density is relatively low due to the vast territorial expanse and the concentration of people in urban areas. Moscow, the capital, is the most populous city in Russia, with around 12 million inhabitants, followed by St. Petersburg, with approximately 5 million people. The Russian population is diverse, consisting of more than 190 ethnic groups and nationalities. The official language is Russian, but other languages are spoken in different regions, reflecting the country's rich cultural tapestry. Culturally, Russia is renowned for its significant contributions to literature, music, ballet, and visual arts. Writers like Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, and Chekhov, composers such as Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff, and dancers from the Bolshoi Ballet are just a few examples of Russia's cultural legacy. The richness and depth of Russian culture reflect the complexity and diversity of its history and people. Russian literature is among the most influential in the world, with authors who have explored universal themes of morality, existence, and the human condition. Author of classics like War and Peace and Anna Karenina, Leo Tolstoy is celebrated for his detailed descriptions of Russian society and his philosophical reflections on life and death. His works often address profound questions of morality and spirituality, revealing the complexity of human nature and the internal conflicts of his characters. Known for works such as Crime and Punishment and The Brothers Karamazov, Fyodor Dostoevsky delves deeply into the psychology of his characters, exploring moral and existential dilemmas. His novels frequently deal with themes of guilt, redemption, and the struggle between good and evil, offering a penetrating insight into the human soul. Russian classical music also boasts a rich and varied tradition, with composers who blend folk elements with stylistic innovations. Composer of iconic works such as the ballets The Nutcracker, Swan Lake, and The Sleeping Beauty, Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky is renowned for his emotive melodies and lush orchestrations. His music, characterized by deep expressiveness and lyrical beauty, has secured a special place in the global classical repertoire. One of the greatest pianist composers, Sergei Rachmaninoff, is famous for his romantic and virtuosic compositions, including the piano concertos and the Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini. His works, marked by rich harmonies and rhythmic complexity, continue to be celebrated for their emotional depth and technical brilliance. Another widely recognized aspect of Russia is its ballet, an art form that has become one of the most iconic symbols of the country's culture. Since the days of the Russian Empire, Russian ballet has been distinguished by its technical excellence, elegance, and expressiveness, winning admirers worldwide. When discussing Russian culture, we cannot overlook its gastronomy. Russian cuisine reflects the country's vast history and diverse cultural influences. Rich in flavor and tradition, Russian cuisine combines simple ingredients with preparation techniques passed down through generations. One of the most emblematic dishes of Russian cuisine is blini. These thin and delicate crepes are made from a wheat-based batter, and their versatility makes them suitable for various occasions. Traditionally, blini are consumed during Maslenitsa, a celebration marking the end of winter and the beginning of spring. Another iconic dish of Russian cuisine is borscht, a beet soup widely enjoyed throughout Eastern Europe. Although there are many regional variations, Russian borscht is known for its deep flavor and vibrant color. Borscht is prepared with fresh beets, which give the soup its characteristic color, along with a variety of other vegetables, such as cabbage, carrots, potatoes, and onions. Typically, the soup is enriched with meat, often beef, which is slow cooked to release its flavor. Now let's talk a bit about the city of Moscow, which is the capital of Russia. This vibrant and historic
Look how
metropolis
nice it
is the
is.
pulsating
How
heart
new it
of the
looks.
country, blending a rich past with dynamic modernity. Moscow, with its unique mix of tradition and innovation, offers a singular living experience for its residents and visitors. Moscow is a city of great historical and cultural significance. Founded in the 12th century, the city has been the political, economic, and cultural center of Russia for centuries. The Kremlin, a medieval fortress serving as the official residence of the Russian president, and Red Square, with the iconic St. Basil's Cathedral, are internationally recognized symbols of this great metropolis. As the capital of Russia, Moscow is the country's primary economic center. The city is home to the headquarters of many of Russia's largest companies, as well as branches of major international corporations. The financial sector is particularly strong, with the Moscow Stock Exchange being one of the world's leading, but it has been weakened due to the situation with Ukraine. Additionally, the city is a hub for startups and technological innovation, with many entrepreneurs drawn to business opportunities. Moscow's public transportation system is extensive and efficient, with a metro system that is famous for both its architectural beauty
Look at that
and its
subway.
coverage.
Jesus.
Moscow's metro stations are true works of art, adorned with mosaics, sculptures, and chandeliers. In addition to the metro, the city has an extensive network of buses, trolleybuses, and trams, facilitating the mobility of its inhabitants.
It's like that in
Moscow
most
is a city that
European
never
cities.
sleeps, with a vibrant urban life that includes a wide range of bars, theaters, art galleries, and restaurants. When the sun sets in Moscow, the city transforms into a hub of entertainment and energy, particularly known for its vibrant nightlife. The Russian capital offers a wide range of options, from renowned nightclubs to cozy bars and pubs. Moscow is famous for its nightclub scene, attracting both locals and tourists in search of an unforgettable night out.
I get it if y'all think the states have been neglecting you, but with this new program, they're actually...
Among the most famous venues are places with themed parties, huge outdoor dance floors, and a combination of world-class DJs and live performances. If you're someone who, like me, has an inexplicable passion for cars, just walking the streets of Moscow will leave you enchanted. With its atmosphere of opulence and sophistication, Moscow is a city where luxury cars stand out as symbols of status and success. Strolling the streets of the Russian capital is a fascinating experience for any automotive enthusiast, as the city turns into a veritable parade of
Those are
high-end
nice
vehicles,
Ferraris.
reflecting Muscovites' passion for cutting-edge engineering and sophisticated design. On the bustling
Nice
avenues
color.
of Moscow, world-renowned supercars catch the eye with their aerodynamic lines and powerful engines. It's common to see Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Audis, and Porsches cruising the streets with their unmistakable roars, capturing glances and provoking admiration. These cars are not just...
Oh, by the way, the mafia owns all those cars, or the government. If you see that, you know he's either in the mafia or the government, or it's one of Putin's friends. The regular people there do not own these sports cars.
speed and performance, but also works of art on wheels, each showcasing bold design that aligns perfectly with the vibrant energy of the city. But make no mistake, it's not just cars you'll see on the streets of Moscow. Picture yourself walking these streets amidst the supercars, and suddenly a beautiful Russian woman catches your eye. The nights in the Russian capital are vibrant and bustling, and the charm of Russian women is undeniable.
What I like about the Russian women, besides they're pretty, they all smile. Here, you walk, they're all kind of like heavy, not attractive, and they never smile, they never talk, they never do anything. All you see here, this guy filming it, and all these girls smiling and walking around and happy, and that's so refreshing right there. Forget that they're pretty, but that they're actually nice.
thousands of stunning women contribute to the magical atmosphere of Moscow, each with a unique combination of physical beauty and captivating personality. Russian women are known worldwide for their breathtaking beauty, often described as classic and elegant. Their physical features, such as striking and symmetrical facial features, high cheekbones, and long, well-kept hair, easily stand out. The variety of hair colors, from platinum blondes to brunettes and redheads, adds even more to their diversity. Their eyes, which can be deep blue, emerald green, or intense brown, radiate a mix of mystery and vivacity. Additionally, the graceful and feminine curves of these women, with slender waists and well-defined hips, enhance their elegance in both casual wear and formal attire. Beyond their impressive appearance, Russian women are admired for their charming and multifaceted personalities. They are caring and welcoming, valuing close relationships, and demonstrating genuine care for the people they love.
See, that's why I don't really doubt Daria, because I know if she says she loves me and cares for me, I have no doubt, because they don't fuck around like that. But they're all so friendly and caring. It's like, do you want to live here? You want to live in Moscow or Russia? She's in St. Pete, Daria, but it's very similar. Not a single woman. Here's a thing: not a single woman or man spotted or overweight or obese. Well, the women know their value. They know they're beautiful, and they try to stay beautiful. That's why they all do their hair, because they're all competing for a rich guy. So they get it. They know about money and they know about looks, and they're all very valuable. And if you don't think you're gonna spend some money on them, others will, right? Then we get into supply and demand. The demand for these girls in the competition, you're spending some money. That's why I give Daria rent every month. If I don't, somebody else will. And I know she's loving and kind, which is very good. So that's why I'm dating a Russian girl.
Family holds a central place in the lives of Russian women, who are dedicated to taking care of their loved ones, and often take on the role of the main pillar in the family. While they are affectionate, they are also independent and strong, resilient and determined to face challenges with courage and grace. Many have a deep appreciation for the arts, literature, and culture, being well educated and interested in a variety of topics, which makes them excellent conversationalists and intellectual companions. Nights in Moscow are a spectacle in themselves, filled with energy and movement, and Russian women significantly contribute to this vibrant atmosphere. Dressed in elegant and sophisticated attire, they turn every night out into a glamorous event, blending style and class impeccably. The confidence with which they carry themselves is captivating, walking with an upright posture and an air of self-assurance that draws looks and admiration wherever they go. Moreover,
so basically, you just said they're all stoic, confident. They know what they are. They know their worth. They're all fucking stoics. It's beautiful. What a better woman to have than a stoic woman.
They love to dance, laugh, and enjoy the company of friends and family, creating an atmosphere of joy and vivacity that makes Moscow nights unforgettable. I know that, given the current situation in the country, you're unlikely to want to live in Russia, but for those who wish to visit the country, it's good to have an idea about the expenses of a potential trip. Russia, with its rich history and vibrant culture, can be a fascinating destination, but it's important to be financially prepared. Let's explore some of the main costs you can expect to encounter when visiting the country. The cost of rent can vary significantly depending on the city and the location within the city. Moscow and St. Petersburg, being the largest and most popular cities, tend to have the highest rents. In Moscow, renting a one-bedroom apartment in the city center can cost between about $800 to $1,300. In areas farther from the center, this amount can drop to something between $530 to $800.
Jesus.
Meal costs at restaurants in Russia also vary widely, depending on the establishment and the city. Lunch or dinner at a mid-range restaurant can cost between $13 to $30 per person, including a drink.
If you choose to dine at a luxury restaurant, especially in Moscow or St. Petersburg, a full meal can easily exceed $65 per person. Public transportation in Russia is generally efficient and affordable, especially in major cities. The metro is the most popular means of transportation, and a single ticket costs around $1. There are also monthly pass options, which can cost around $26 in Moscow. Taxi services and apps also operate widely in major cities. A short distance taxi ride can cost between $3 to $7 depending on traffic and distance. I hope you enjoyed this journey through Russia. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe.
So we better not nuke it. After you see that, you go, why do I live here when it used to be like that? And now very modern, people very friendly, prices are very cheap compared to here. And we got all this bullshit here that you don't get there. You know, none of this racism, discrimination, all that. See, that's what I like. They're all Russians, right? So you're not dealing. That's why they don't want the immigration. They don't want Muslims and all these other people there, yet they have it. They have, what do you say, 10 or 20 different cultural types, but they're all Russian, right? And that's what the problem is here. These people coming across the border aren't Americans, right? So that's one of the problems. Anyway, that's I mean, it looks very nice. All the modern buildings, when I was there, it was 10 years ago, they didn't have all those buildings. And it seems safe. And the subway I never went to looked beautiful. You get the buses and the trams. Like I said, every Barcelona, Portugal, wherever you go to Amsterdam, Amsterdam, you don't need a car. You just take a tram to the red light district and you walk around, and there's the diamond exchange and the beer and the casino and all the shopping, and then you tram back to your hotel. I mean, it's but most of these cities, I was in France, same thing. I was at the Nice, Canes, and went to Monte Carlo, and we took a boat and we took a bus there. But they're all very, very user friendly, very inexpensive to tram. Switzerland, we trammed around there, and we trammed downtown, and we shopped, and we ate, and we came tram back, and very easy. So it was a very nice thing, and but that's the difference in Europe. You have all that. In Detroit, we don't have any of that. You need a car, right? I can't tram or bus to the gym. I could in Russia or the Ukraine. I could. So that's what's happening there. So we've talked about Rolex. Saudi Arabia is fucked. I mean, what they're doing sounds good, but you got to understand economics. Is there demand for the product? Why aren't you building a regular car? Why would you build electric cars that need the silver and the battery and you've got oil, and yet you're building wind and solar? Are you insane? I don't get them. TK. So there you go. Trump's wife is attractive. Well, she's Ukrainian, Russian. Beautiful women. T. Enjoy. It's so beautiful, Russia. Should we move there? Absolutely, especially once they get on the gold back brics. And if it's a gold back ruble, I'd move there in a heartbeat, because now you got gold, you got the dollar. Here, what's happening? They printed the dollar to nothing, and you got a bunch of crazies running it. The one thing about Putin, he takes care of his people, right? He's not crazy. He's not a dictator. He's not Joe Stalin. He's not Hitler. And he's certainly not Biden or Trump. You should go to Russia. You should go take a trip. You can go there. You just need a visa, which you can get online and book a trip and go to Moscow or St. Pete. I would say go to Moscow, and I was at Red Square. I was at this Olympic hotels where I stayed at, and a lot of nice restaurants and a lot of nice women. But I met a girl there. So it's the only problem is speaking English. If you don't know Russian, you're probably okay at these restaurants they were showing. I'm sure they probably know American. There's enough Americans that go there that they probably put it on their menu, or at least have pictures of chicken, ribs, steak, hamburger, and fish. So it's probably at least a picture on the menu. When I was in Odessa, they spoke English at that's in the Ukraine by the Black Sea. They spoke English there. When we were in Lviv, Lviv is near the Polish border. I had no problem there. They spoke English, even to get coffee or go get chocolates or something. They spoke it, so that was never had a problem. In Donetsk, there was never a problem. They all knew English. Ukraine's different. In Ukraine, everybody knows English. They learn it. Russia, I'm not so sure, but I think they do learn it. But yeah, I mean, go, be a great time. So Saudi's fucked because they're trying to do things there's no demand for. In other words, they're trying to make a yellow shirt, but there's no demand for the yellow shirt, but they're going to make it. So again, the electric car, there's no demand. The windmills, is there wind in Saudi Arabia? He said it's sunny so they can store up energy. How? Do you store the solar panels? How do you store it? Do you put it in batteries? Do you that I don't know, but I don't know how long it lasts. You can use the sun and it converts it to energy, but I don't know that you can store it. And then this what was it? Helium or yeah, the helium they were trying to make and then take all that and convert it to helium and ship it. I don't know about that. What do you do with helium? I'm going to use it for gas, for electricity. What am I using it for? And then AI, again, you're going into a spot that it is not proven. You don't know if it works or not. Just like electric cars. And like I said, it's like Musk. He's building a rocket to Mars. Does anybody really want to go to Mars and get killed going through the radiation once you get out of the Earth's atmosphere? And then what do you do when you get to Mars? It's not like there's malls and restaurants. You're going to get there and what? What are you going to do? Or are you just going to get on the rocket and fly around Mars and there it is and then fly home? Like you're in outer fucking space. I'm not. Nobody wants to go to Mars. Well, why would you want to? So anyway, I think that's it. The other one was about a guy who doesn't understand gold. Maybe I should show it because it really enlightens what we're up against. So let's show it so we can see this is what we're up against. Okay, this one, the stupidest investment ever. He's calling gold the stupidest investment ever. Let's see why. Don't ever watch this guy.
Sounds like you have the whole team.
This guy's an idiot.
I forgot my loan wasn't paid. It's like this.
Okay, this guy's an idiot. I'm warning you up front. But this is the problem we have is these idiots who are saying the wrong thing on purpose. They're not gold people. He's a Bitcoiner, I think. And so he's trying to make gold sound bad and hence buy Bitcoin. And there's a few holes in his story. This guy has no idea what the purpose of physical silver and gold is. So that's not even me. I left a few nice ones. Here's mine. What an idiot. Clueless. The dumbest investment I ever made was watching this video. So bear with me. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. His reference to paper. So here's all our guys, right? Precious metals offer intrinsic value, stability during economic uncertainty, diversification benefits, no doubt. But why choose that when the economy? Why choose that when the economy is running on new corporate growth and breakthroughs? I wouldn't be putting capital to buy if my stock portfolio gave me 40%. Yeah, but it doesn't. The seller of whatever you buy should be the last person to get advice of information. So he's saying I trusted these stores and they told me this and it didn't work out. He's trying to blame the people at the gold store. I know more than my gold store, so I don't really need to trust them. I know what's going on. All right, it's 10 minutes. We'll watch 5 or 6 of them. This is not what I'm advocating or promoting. This is the opposite. So this is the bizarro world. We are saying do the opposite, but we're saying it's guys like these who confuse people into not buying gold and silver. Now, I'm not trying to tell you to buy gold and silver so the price will go up. The price is going up if you buy it or not. I am telling you as a protection and straight to the point, and you can do this, why and why not. So let's listen. This guy's an idiot now. We all know this guy's an idiot.
And what I found out was that the gold and metal shop that I bought this bar from, they knew what this was. They knew it was worth less. But because I was in there asking questions, trying to learn, trying to get educated by people who I thought were experts that were on my side, well, they basically took advantage of me. Hey, welcome back. It's Noel Mathias. And today...
Why does he sound like a liberal right off the bat? They took advantage of me. They switched to silver. What do you mean they switched to silver? You're supposed to buy it. You're supposed to buy what it's. I don't know what he's talking about. He's showing bars. I don't know if he went once or twice. I mean, of course, the price changes every day, so I'm not quite sure. But they took advantage of me. Well, no, you're taking advantage of yourself because you don't know. You shouldn't ask the store guys. You need to come to me and ask somebody like me, how does it work, and educate yourself. But you don't necessarily go into a store and ask them how does it work and then wonder why they take advantage of you, which I'm not sure they did. I've been to a lot of baseball card shows. I don't ever feel like I was taking advantage of. So anyway,
I'm going to tell you about the stupidest and probably the coolest investment I ever made. But before we get into it, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that
fuck
notification
you.
bell, and please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. Okay, so let's get into it. What is the stupidest investment that I've ever made? And quite frankly, also the coolest investment I have ever made? Well, it's this. It's buying physical gold and silver. This is honestly one of the coolest things, being able to sit here and hold, basically in this pile alone, $5,000 worth of silver and having a little bit of gold kicking around as well. This is really cool. And this is an investment that started for me back in 2014 as silver prices were starting to come down, as the fear from the financial crisis was coming out of the market, and as there was starting to become more and more deals on buying physical silver and gold. And this was nothing that I ever expected that I would invest in myself, but it came about as a result of an investment newsletter that I was subscribed to that was all based around value investing. And value investing is the type of investing that Warren Buffett does. So finding companies that are worth a lot, that are undervalued, and investing in those. And that investment strategy is...
Okay, this is not a stock. This is not investing. This is buying gold and silver. This is not an investment for us. This is getting out of the dollar to buy gold and silver. So I don't know what the fuck the guy's talking about. He's quoting Warren Buffett. Now this says it's 3 years ago. So 2021. So, okay, back to the show.
Where the similarities to Warren Buffett ended, because they also got into the piece about having precious metals as a hedge against inflation and currency devaluation and Also holding it physically.
All right, inflation is currency devaluation. So he says holding it against inflation and currency devaluation. Okay, inflation is printing the money, which causes the currency to lose purchasing power or devalue, which it takes more dollars. That's why costs go up. So costs are never going up. It's the value of the dollar dropping. What's he talking? So he says inflation and currency. So, oh, he's talking inflation twice because he doesn't understand it.
Rather than in certificates or in ETFs, so that if anything ever happened in a country that you lived in and you wanted to bug out to a different country, much like the Jewish people had to do in Nazi Germany during the World War II, well, physical gold and silver was the best means of doing that. Now, physical gold may have been a good means of being able to transport money over borders, which, by the way, I'm not recommending, but
Why
physical
not?
silver certainly isn't. You know, this is about $5,000 worth of physical silver, and it is heavy as hell. I think there's about 160 ounces here, so about 10 pounds. I wouldn't want to be carrying this on an airplane to go to Europe or some other country right now. But it was interesting because that value investing newsletter got me hooked on what's called stacking in the gold and silver world. And stacking is exactly what it sounds like. It's taking physical gold and silver and collecting as much as you can of it over a certain amount of years, and basically creating a hedge against inflation and currency devaluation as a result of having physical metal. And this is something that is just absolutely unnecessary as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, this shows you how stupid this guy is. It's first of all, he keeps calling it currency devaluation and inflation, which is the same thing. Then he's saying, oh no, you don't want to hold gold and silver. It's not a good inflation head. What's he talking about? So this is the problem we fight. This is what I fight is a guy like this at the hot tub or in the pool, trying to explain gold to him, and he just doesn't get it. He doesn't understand anything about it. So it makes it extremely hard to talk about because he doesn't fucking get it. But then I don't like how he says, well, but it's not a really good hedge against inflation. Why? It is the only hedge because the dollar is going to zero. This is dying. That's what the inflation is this going to zero? What are you going to use for money? You need gold and silver. But this idiot doesn't get it. All right.
It's something that I did for a while. It was fun, but there are far better ways for me to invest in silver and gold, and that is by using my BMO Investor line or my Questrade account in order to purchase mining companies, or if I really, really want to, certificates in physical gold and silver. But, you know, it was interesting.
What's a certificate in gold and silver? What's he talking about? There's silver and gold certificates that was money, but you're not investing. I'm not running out and buying $100 bill that's a silver certificate. I'd much rather own the coin than that, or ETFs or stocks. This guy's clueless. All right. Sorry. Bear with me.
Investment was definitely an investment I learned a lot about because, one, you learn how the system works. Obviously, people who are buying gold are paying less for it than the people who are selling gold because typically you have to sell to dealers, and they're obviously getting a better deal from you than you're getting from them. The other thing I realized was that there's a lot to know about buying physical gold and silver, and it's really easy to get screwed. And I'll use this bar as an example.
Okay, I know what's he talking about. First of all, you can go on eBay and sell it, and if you go to the coin store, they're going to give you spot for it more than likely. What's the problem? Easy to get. It's not easy. You're not getting screwed. And of course, anytime you sell to a seller, he's not going to give you the premium. He's going to give you spot, but he will give you spot. I can get 24. What's it at? 24.25 right now. If I take my Eagle and go to my coin store, he's going to give me 24.25. How am I getting screwed? I understand I'm not going to get the premium when I sell it back to him. And of course, he's going to charge a premium like anybody else does. What do you think? You go buy a car, you're getting it at cost? He's marking it up. I buy the shirt, they're marking it up. I buy the glass. Wherever you go, they're going to mark it up. What the fuck is this guy? Where does he live? Is he clueless? Oh my God.
Because this is the very first bar of silver that I ever bought. It's a 10-ounce NTR metals bar. I bought it from the exact same company that I bought this bar from, which is a Sunshine 10-ounce silver bar. I paid about $2 difference between this bar and this bar. This one I think I paid about $245 for, and this one about $247 for. And again, bought them from the exact same gold and silver shop, and I paid pretty much the same price. Now, what was interesting was a few years later, when I went to sell this bar, the NTR bar, back to that same gold and silver shop, they basically told me that it was worth 15% less than this one. So in today's term,
Okay, that's bullshit. If it's a real 999 10-ounce, they'd be worth the same. Just like anything else. If I go back with the Eagles, or if I go back with the rounds, the Buffaloes versus the Liberties, I'm going to get the same. What's silver selling at? $30. I'm going to get $30. I'm going to get the same for both. They're not going to be a difference in an ounce of silver is an ounce of silver. Now the gold's a little bit different right now because the Eagle versus the Cougaran, you're going to get a little difference in price on it. But right now, an ounce of gold still but you didn't pay as much either. Like I know, let's say I paid $2,000 for an Eagle, I paid $1,930 for the Cougaran. So up front I paid less. So down the road, if I pay less or I get paid less, I understand it. I didn't pay as much. The Eagle in the U.S. is going to get you more value, but the Maple Leaf and the Cougaran are very close. But I understand that. So I'm not getting screwed when I return them. If I do, I'm going to get spot pretty much, maybe a little under for the Cougaran. But I understand that. He's not screwing me. I know what I'm getting.
this bar is worth about $330. This one is worth $280. So there's about a 15% or a $50 difference between these two bars, even though they're supposed to be exactly the same thing. And what I found out was that the gold and metal shop that I bought this bar from, they knew what this was. They knew it was worth less. But because I was in there asking questions, trying to learn, trying to get educated by people who I thought were experts that were on my side, well, they basically took advantage of me. And they had these two bars sitting beside each other. And instead of picking up this one, they picked up this one, handed it to me.
That's such bullshit. First of all, they don't take advantage of you. They want repeat sales. I've never had a problem going into my store, although generally I know more than they do. With that, it's all 10 ounces silver. If it's all $9.99, it's all worth the same. So I don't know where he's getting it unless he went in on different days and the price of silver obviously moved. That's not said there. Nobody's trying to take advantage of you. It's not how it works. They want you to come back. They want a fair deal with you. They just ask them, how much is it worth? So what the guy, I always go, what's your gold sheet? And I see the gold sheet tells me the prices. Cougaran's this, Maple Leaf's that, Eagle's that. And I'm only buying coins. So if I'm looking at a 10 ounce of bar, I get the same thing. I bought a few 10 ouncers and it's just 10 ounce of whatever silver's selling for versus if I buy the coins, but he doesn't have them. I'm not getting screwed on it. Now I've not tried to return them because I don't want to sell it at these cheap prices. So once it hits $2,000, I don't know. So I get $19.90. Am I going to cry? So again, you go in there saying, I want this 1 ounce Maple Leaf silver. I want the Buffalo round. I want the Liberty. You tell them what you want. And you look at the price, $30. You see 20 of them. Okay, give me 5 of them. The price is on the sheet. That's what you got. How is he screwing you? This guy's fucking crazy.
And charged me significantly more than what it was worth. And what I realized was that when you're dealing in gold and silver, the margins are so freaking thin that the companies that do business in this realm are basically incentivized to screw you if they can. And
No, they're not. Okay, so what happens is mom and pop drop off the gold. He gives them spot for it. So it's $24.15. I come in, I'm going to pay $100 premium. I know it. That's their margin. Their margin is paying them spot and paying you the premium. But you know what the premium cost is when you look at the sheet and you go, do I want to pay it? And then he's paying them spot. That's how he makes his money. What do you want him to sell it to you for the it's the same price he bought it from the guy, then he wouldn't be in business. But you got to understand the game. There's going to be a premium on the gold and silver sale. Silver is very little. It's like $2 or $3. You know what the spot is. I give it to you every day. So it's $31. So you know you're going to pay 33. Where are you getting screwed? And that's his margin, is what somebody came in and sold it to. The silver, he gets a little bit differently. Maybe he makes $3 or $4 on it. But how do they screw you? There's the price sheet. Either you want it or you don't. They're not screwing you. This is what you're going to pay. Here's gold. Here's silver. Here's the price. An ounce. The fraction of an ounce is for gold. The eagle, the cougaran, the maple leaf. It's all there. He ain't screwing you. This is what you want. This is what you're going to pay for it. And you choose. And that's why I get maple leafs and cougarans. They're a lot cheaper. So what do I? So on the other end, if I lose a few dollars, well, I got them for a few dollars less. It's not like you pay the same and then you don't get the same back. I know I'm going to get less for my maple leaf than the eagle, but I paid $50 less for it. So it's probably I'm breaking even as far as the discount. Maybe if I lose $50 on the spot, but that's what I paid for it. I'm looking long term when it's $30,000, $40,000 an ounce. I don't care if I don't get 100, but that's why if I got to go to Switzerland and sell it and get spot, I'll go there. That's the point, right? All right.
Heard lots of stories now of people buying fake gold and silver, thinking that what they were getting was real, and ultimately getting stuff that absolutely was not.
All right, that's bullshit too. At my store, he checks everything. There's a meter there. You can ask him can you just verify it? And he'll verify it. If you're getting fake gold at a coin store, it's because it's your fault. You didn't ask the guy to verify it. Since I'm in there every week, they know me. I know they verify everything. If Joe walks in with his gold or silver, I know he's verifying it. And if I ask him to verify it, he'll put it on the machine and he'll test it out. And I know if I take a magnet and it doesn't stick, it's probably real. I can look at it and go, yeah, this looks gold to me. And if it says 1 ounce, 999 cougaran or maple leaf or eagle, I'm pretty fucking sure it's real. Only an idiot would get scammed at a coin store because you're an idiot for not asking them to test it if you have any doubt. But if you got an American Eagle that says 1 ounce, 999 pure gold, how the fuck is it not real? I mean, what are you kidding me? And that's, if you want to buy a Swiss bar, I would get it verified, but those are verified also. They're usually in the packet and not touched. So they're usually, of course, verified, but anything that's kind of off center, ask them to get it verified. You're the only reason you got fucked is because you fucked yourself. They aren't there to fuck you. They're there to get repeat business because that's how he pays his rent, to sell the gold. And if you knew that he was selling you bullshit, you would tell it, he'd be out of business. He does not want that. So this guy here is a typical idiot.
So this is definitely a situation where it's buyer beware. Now, as an alternative, I could have bought the exact same amount of silver that I own right here. I could have bought it in my BMO Investor Line account in a certificate, or I could have bought an ETF. And I could have been 100% certain that the silver I was buying was real because an expert on the other side was taking care of making sure.
What silver? What certificate are you fucking talking about? And what ETF is going to pay you out in gold and silver? You do not get your gold and silver in an ETF. It is paper gold. You don't get an ounce. You're guaranteed your silver is good in an ETF. Did you try to get it? No. Nobody gets their gold and silver out of the ETF because it's not there. It's a Ponzi scheme. So Mr. Here, he doesn't even know it's a Ponzi. I still don't know what certificate is. A stock he's talking about? You're not getting gold and silver if you buy Newmont Mining. You're just getting part of the mine. An ETF, you don't get the physical. I don't know. What does he talk? See, he's talking, but he's lying. He doesn't make any sense. There's no way that he's getting what he's saying.
That it was real, and that I wasn't going to lose 15% of my investment just because I was an idiot. The other thing that I realized about this product was I have to physically store this in a bank safety deposit box. or I have to take the risk of storing it at home, having extra insurance, and risking having a fire or it getting stolen. And that all sucks. And that all adds to the cost of owning this investment. And at the end of the day, there was a whole bunch of reasons why they suggested physical silver or gold. First was that it was cool. The second was that if you ever needed to leave a country and go to a different country with it, you could basically hide it and smuggle it into another country. Again, don't endorse that, but that was a big reason. And in 2020, that reason is nowhere close to as valid as it was in 2014. Because in today's day and age, if I wanted to go to a different country and take over $10,000 with me, which is the amount that you legally have to declare. By the way, I don't suggest doing that, but let's say it was 1945, Nazi Germany, and I need to get out of the country with a bunch of money. Well, I'm not doing it with a bunch of gold coins anymore. I'm probably taking a USB drive that has Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency on it. So,
oh, he's a Bitcoiner. Now the truth comes out. So first of all, I would never store anything at the bank. You'll never get it out when the bank's closed. I'm not worried about losing, getting, first of all, it's in a fireproof safe. So if there's a fire, you can't burn gold, you idiot. And the third thing is I don't have any insurance on it. I don't want anybody to know I got it. The last thing I'm going to do is call Metropolitan Life and insure it. So it's not insured. It's at home. It's safe. And there's no storage cost at home. There's no insurance that I would get. And there's no, it's not at a bank. So what? You have your Bitcoin and you think that's safe? And what if it's when the dollar collapses, what are you going to do? You'll have nothing. So again, you can see how at the end, oh, he's a Bitcoin guy. I got screwed. Like he's trying to I got screwed with my gold and silver. Oh my God, if I do have it home, look at all my extra costs. I got to pay insurance. You don't have to pay insurance. You don't need insurance. What do you do with the other assets you have in your house? Are you worried about that? Do you have a painting in your house that's worth 20 grand? Are you going to worry about that? Do you have a lot of people come into your house and steal from you? It's such a joke. Why didn't he say there's no dividends and really hit gold? All right, we're almost done with this clown.
All the reasons for holding this stuff basically don't make any sense. And the only reason that somebody really becomes a stacker in today's day and age, in my opinion, is if they're conspiracy theorists. If they think that this is better than cash or better than holding an investment in a online investment portfolio, and therefore, they think that the world one day will come to an end and this is what's going to be able to save them. And you know what? I don't think this is what's going to save somebody from basically not having any money or having any sort of ability to buy things if the economy goes to hell in a handbasket. So this was a fun investment for basically 7 years. It was an interesting.
Okay, that's enough of this clown. So basically, this is what we deal with. I'm a conspiracy theorist because I'm telling you the truth that the idiots are printing the dollar to death. It's a conspiracy. I can't tell you the truth. It's a conspiracy if I tell you that the dollar is going out. But I show you why. They print $21 trillion and everybody's de-dollarizing and gold's now at 2,400. So we're not the only ones buying gold. And yes, we will be able to eat with the gold and the silver because it will hold its value because it's money. And the dollar, it's not the end of the world. It's just the U.S. The dollar is going to zero like these other countries, just like Venezuela and Greece and Pakistan and Zimbabwe and about to happen in Japan. So it's not like it doesn't happen. The Romans, the French, the English. What the fuck's the guy talking about? Yes, gold does help you because gold is real money. So this is the problem. This guy ends up being a Bitcoiner, and it's just ridiculous. But so don't ever listen to this guy. What was his name? Guy's name is Nolan Mathias. So if you ever see Nolan Mathias run, don't waste your time with it. He's a fucking idiot. And what worries me is there's 893,000 views of that. But most people, I was reading the comments, think he's an idiot also. So that gave me some solace. But this is what we fight against. I'm telling you that the dollar's going out. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's real. What's the conspiracy? That the dollar's always going to be good and never go out, just like the Romans and the other countries that printed their money to zero and they went out. That's a fact. That's what's happened. That's what happened to Rome. So it's not a conspiracy that the dollar's going out. It doesn't mean everything's going to be the end. It's not the end of the world. It's just you won't be able to use dollars. We'll need gold back currency, which hopefully these idiots have, but I doubt it. Gold, we know, will save us. Look at Russia, China, you said Saudi Arabia and UAE, and look at all the BRICS countries are buying gold. Well, why? If it's a conspiracy theory that they're all buying gold, are you out of your fucking mind? This is the problem we deal with. And then the idiots say, well, you know, there's insurance and carrying costs, and oh my God, and you can get screwed because if you're too stupid to ask the question. If you don't believe it's real, have them test it. They all have testers there because when people come into the store, they test to make sure they're real. But it's usually not the Eagles and the Maple Leafs and the Cougar Hens. They know those are good. Those are very hard to. It'll be the color will be off and the weight will be off, and it just won't look right, and it'll be smaller or bigger. It's very hard to get the exact round. But that's why I go there. I know I'm getting gold. I know I'm not worried about it. Just like this. This I bought at a jewelry store. It's 18 karat gold. It's real gold. I didn't, you shop at the proper places and you learn to trust them and ask the right questions, you're not going to get screwed. I go in there. I know I'm not going to get screwed. I go in there tomorrow and buy 2 ounces of gold. I know I'm fine. So I really, because he doesn't know what he's doing, why does he need the stick to go across if he's going somewhere and get Bitcoin that way? But Bitcoin's in US dollars. If the dollar's worthless, what's the Bitcoin going to help you? How are you going to get the money in Bitcoin? And then where are you going to go spend it at? So you got a lot more problems with Bitcoin. So I'm in Switzerland now and I got Bitcoin. Okay. And how is that going to help me? Yeah, Egon, let's go to dinner and where I can use Bitcoin. Sorry. That's not going to help you. It's not going to help you at a hotel. What the fuck's the guy talking about? I can go with gold and go to a gold store anywhere in the world and get whatever dollars they have and have that to, basically eat and get a hotel and everything else. So yeah, gold is recognized all over the place. So I don't know what this guy's talking about, but the problem is he's talking to a lot of people out of gold and silver who are really nuances, who have no idea what it is or how it works. This is what I struggle with, is trying to tell you what to do and then giving you support why. And then I hear this and it drives me, and he gets 800,000 views and I get like 100, and trying to figure out, but most of the people seem not to be listening to it or saying this guy's out of his mind. He doesn't understand it, which he doesn't. And then, look what he bought. He didn't even buy. So you bought 160 ounces of silver. Did you buy any gold? No. So yeah, silver crossing a border would be kind of heavy. That's why you buy gold, Chuckles. So if you bought an ounce of gold, it'd be worth all that you had in silver with one little, put this in your pocket and you're off. And as far as the 10,000, it's the value of the coin's $50, not 10,000. So that's your out. If you're ever at the airport and somebody goes you through customs, And you got all this gold. Well, yeah, but it's at face value is $50, not 2,500 or 5,000. So anyway, this is what our problem is people like this who don't know what they're doing, don't explain it, and then at the end of the day are like, well, yeah, if at the end of the world, well, it's not the end of the world, it's the end of the dollar. And how does it end? By printing it to zero. That's how it ends, because you print and print and print, and nobody wants it. That's how it ends. What do you think happened to the Romans, for the best example I can give you? So what do you think? Everything's just going to be fine and we print away and it's not a problem? But I own Bitcoin, so I'm fine, even though nobody will take it. So that's really what gets me, is idiots like that. That's why you shouldn't buy physical gold and silver. Gets me. Okay, I gotta hear the reason for this. And the reason is you're an idiot. Okay. Like here, the shocking truth about. I mean, look at these titles. The shocking truth about gold and silver. Oh, what shocking truth? What are they talking about? The fact it's manipulated and it's price fixed? Yeah, we already know that. All right. So I think that's about it. Anyway. So I hope you enjoyed the Rolex and Russia. So I've shown you Putin's places. He's got real nice houses and a train that's like a hotel, and his airplanes and his cars. That guy's doing well there. And anyway, so it looks like a very, very pretty city. That's why I'm telling Daria, let's meet and I'll come to St. Pete. And if we want, we can go to Moscow or just stay there. So she wants to go to Serbia. I'm like, okay. Or she'd prefer to go on a vacation, is what she said. So should be soon. The mother's in town. So it's just when the mother comes back to babysit, then we'll go. And hopefully I get some notice, or she'll be there for a few more weeks so we can, okay, I'll book it in 2 weeks and she'll still be there. But I did ask her, can you give me some notice? Because I don't think she understands booking a flight. You want 2 weeks notice to get a better price than buying it for tomorrow, if you can even go tomorrow, right? So very, very pretty. Yeah, very pretty girls, but that the Russian girls understand it. They understand that they're beautiful and they know they're beautiful. And you treat them with respect and you're honest with them, or they'll fuck you over. So you don't, you got to understand what you're getting into with the Russian women. And that's why with Daria, I'm like, yeah, don't worry. And that's what she keeps saying. I'm not with anybody else. I love you. Like, where are you for 5 days? She's busy working to take care of herself and her daughter. So I respect that. Anyway, so what else? So there's no baseball. All-Star game tomorrow. Who gives a shit? I'd rather watch an old All-Star game than these. But no good players. Very few in the league. Bryce Harper maybe, and the pitching, I don't know who's going to pitch. So we went through college football week 1 and NFL week 1, this current lines. Then I went through what I believe would be the quarterbacks. I missed the Dallas goal. Well, Prescott, we said's in a boot. And then it's either going to be Deshaun Watson or Thompson Robinson for Cleveland. We will see. Probably an under game, because if it's Watson, he stinks, and Prescott stinks anyway. But if he can't walk, he's not going to play. Aaron Rodgers is good to go from what I hear from him, what I read. And that's it. So college, we can go through a few more conferences since we got a baseball break. Really figuring it out. Now it'll take a little bit of time after the All-Star game for everybody to get back in sync. So like the Tigers were hot hitting it, and then they cooled down yesterday, and then we'll see how they start out. They'll probably get an ace and probably get no hit. What else? So we know, well, let's check our gold price. The interesting thing about gold is it goes all day, and it goes into the night, and it goes in the morning. Gold's 24.21, silver 30.65. So gold got up to 24.35, and then like we close at like 4 o'clock. And you can see the straight line from like 4 o'clock is 6:30 now, 6:40, and you can see it just goes sideways. It'll pick up, I think, about 8 o'clock. The Asian market opens up. So you see its low was 24.02, which I feel very good about. The 10 o'clock drop didn't really happen. It went up to 24.35, and then the 10 o'clock drop happened at about 1 o'clock, and that was it. It really didn't go too much further. So 24.21, I'm happy with. That's a good price for us. It's staying over 24. Now, if we can get through tomorrow, we'll see 25 on the weekend. And it's all based on the derivatives. It's not profit taking. There's no such thing. There's not consolidating, or, no, it's I want to buy as much as I can buy. There is no stop buying. There is no stacking. You're buying as much as you can because the price is going up, and the dollar's going to be worthless. And that's a given. They're printing it. I'm not printing it. I'm only telling you what's happened. They printed $21 trillion and another 132 with the petrodollar, which is gone now because they've stopped doing the petrodollar. So all this dollars are going to come back. The stock market's going to crash, which is going to kill the Netherlands and kill Saudi Arabia, which is why I said Saudi Arabia is dead. If they think they're going to go green with electric cars and solar panels, they're out of their fucking minds. This is an oil country. What are you doing? Now, unless they're just talking it to make it sound good, but if they actually mean it, and they're going to expand and put cities in the middle of the desert like Las Vegas, they're crazy. I mean, it's never going to happen. Nobody's running to Saudi Arabia's theme parks. Sorry. I'm going to Europe. I'm not going to the middle of the desert where it's probably very dangerous in Saudi Arabia. So I don't see if they actually do what they say, silver will be 10,000 an ounce, because the silver needed by the Indians and now Saudis to build these electric car batteries and the solar panels. There's not enough silver for it, so they're going to be bidding on it. And there's way more than there is silver, and you need silver in both things. You need silver. So there's no way you're going to keep the price down because you got too much demand. It's like what I showed you in the beginning. The demand for Rolexes, right? Why is Rolex so expensive? Because the demand is more than they make, and it's popular. It's a luxury item, and that's exactly what gold and silver is going to be, a luxury item. There's more demand than they have. The price goes up. Very simple, and I can prove it with examples. So don't listen to the last guy. I was debating about showing it because I don't want to confuse anybody, and I don't want people to think, but I thought I'd tear them to shreds, and you'd get all the answers to all the questions that you get about gold and silver, which is what I get in the hot tub in the pool about, oh no, I got oil stocks in this, What they don't get is the dollar is going out. It's lost 99%, I think 100% of its value. So what are you going to buy with it when the dollar's gone? That's really, that's the point, is the dollar's gone, and now what do we do? And this isn't any better, the euro. So don't think, oh, I'll just buy euros. That was my first thought. As soon as Biden got in, he starts printing all this money. I go, oh shit, we're going to have massive inflation. The dollar's going to be worthless. I got to get out. And I'll buy Swiss francs or buy euros. Then I realized they're not backed by gold either. They're all worthless. All the paper are worthless, which forced me into gold and silver is the only alternative. There's no other dollar I can get into. But because the dollar's gone out and your sanctions and the way you're printing the money and you lost the petrodollar, dollar's gone. I mean, give me one reason why the dollar isn't gone. You can't print it. You can't print $21 trillion and think, oh, it's fine. We can print as much as we want. See, that's the MMT version, which doesn't work. And why they say that, I don't know. And why anybody supports it, I don't know. And like this guy is a Bitcoiner. So I'll just buy my Bitcoin. I'll take my stick out. Why do you need a stick? Can't you go on your account and on your computer and go into your Bitcoin and sell it and then try to find out where you can get dollars when you're overseas and you can't? And they won't be worth anything because the dollar collapsed. So I don't know. I could have bought 2 ounces of gold and carry that around and it'd be worth a lot more than all the silver. But he doesn't say that. And he got screwed on 2 ounces, so he bought more. So he buys 160 ounces, he says. But he gets screwed on 1 ounce, and how about the other 160? And oh my God, it's so hard to put it in a safe, and you're going to insure it? Like, really? Anyway, that's about it. So Russia, very nice. Switzerland's like that, very nice country. You got to get to Europe. I mean, Amsterdam's very, very nice. And one of the things with Europe is you all got these hot girls everywhere you walk. Everywhere you go, just these hot girls, especially Ukraine and Russia. That's where I met Jenna, was Ukraine. And a few other girls that I met there. And it's funny how jealous Jenna was. She went into one of my things, and I had the other gals that I knew. They were friends from the Ukraine. And she got jealous and, unfriended me. And I'm okay. You don't own me. These are friends, but you're my friend. They can't. What's going on? So it's just how wicked they are. Like, no, I own you. You just got to watch out for that. But very nice in Europe. This war is about oil and minerals in the Ukraine, in those cities where the Russians are, the Donetsk and Kharkov and Odessa and Crimea, the island. That's exactly where the oil is and the minerals, and that's what we want, and that's what they want, and that's what the war is about. Nothing to do with NATO. NATO can hit them from where they are. They don't need to be in Ukraine to fire a missile into Russia. So that's just ridiculous. But once you see all the people there, you're like, why are we at war? I mean, these seem like nice, friendly girls smiling and waving, and like, why are we at war with these people? See, once you go there and you see the people, you can't figure out why the fuck there's a war going on. What are you doing? So anyway, I think that's about it. So football coming, as we know. Soon there'll be classes on the picks once I get my IT going, and I'm still frustrated waiting on the job and waiting on the trust to get it all sorted out. So I think I'll hear from the trust soon, the next couple of weeks. The job, I don't know what's taking so long. He said not till after the 4th, so I waited last week. I might text him tomorrow and say, any news? But if he had news, he'd tell me. And I kind of don't want to hear, well, they're putting the job on hold. I don't want to hear that. But when I talk to my friend, he says, well, They had 4 interviews with you. They are deciding where to put you. They're not. You basically have the job. I mean, well, I don't have the job till they make me an offer, but we'll see. But 4 people, 3 people like me a lot. I don't know the 4th guy. I can't imagine there was any issues there because the VP liked me, and he's like the general. So if the general wants you, the colonel's not going to talk him out of it. Anyway, so let's have a little dinner and take it easy. It's hot out. I did go to the pool and bike and swim and that. I think I had, what did I have when I came home? Oh, I had a salad, I think, and I had turkey and a pita. So that worked out well. Anyway, that's about it. So have a good night, everybody. I'll see you about this time tomorrow, maybe a little earlier. I don't know. I keep debating, should I do class at 11 like I do on the weekend? But I seem to want to get out and go to the pool and then come back and do it like now. But I don't know. I could change around. Anyway, have a nice day, everybody. Relax, enjoy, buy your gold. And yes, the dollar is going out. You must understand that you can't print it like they're doing, and it's not totally losing the value. You can see it in the grocery stores. Coke's $3, Fritos $5, Raisin Bran $5. I saw Raisin Bran yesterday on the shelf. Now I don't have cereal anymore, but I saw it. It was like 2 for $5 for like the 12 ounce or something. So again, they're not being able. Anytime you see a sale at the grocery store, it's because they can't sell it. So I was tempted, but I didn't want to buy 2 of them, and it's just so much sugar in the cereals and carbs that my feet would probably be killing me for a month. So that's what I got to be careful of. But I did buy honey yesterday, and I had just a nibble of honey in my coffee this morning. And it tasted good, but the difference is it's not chocolate. So I don't get a sweet tooth from the honey. And I won't have it every day. I'll have it today. I'll probably have it Thursday or something. All right, I will end. www.teaserking.com. Go there. You can see my history from last year and just the site. I got to add some gold to it. And if you want a class on gold or on economics, gold, silver, comex, brics, inflation, $25, and I'll do a private class. For as many people, like 20 people could buy it, it'd be public, it'd be private for 20 people. But, if you want to learn something like this idiot who doesn't know what he's doing, that's why I try to bring those in here, is to help you, because you're going to have the same questions if you're buying gold and silver. What do I do? How do I buy it? How do I know it's real? Just ask the guy at the store. Say, I want to make sure it's real. He'll put it on the scale. He'll put it on the device, and say, look, it's real. And then you'll say, well, if I sell it back to you, what will you sell it to me for? And it's probably going to be spot, and maybe 95% of spot, depending what it is. But you know that going in. It's not surprising. He's not trying to screw you. That's what he pays, and then he sells it at a premium. That's normal. Gold's like an ounce is like $100. The quarter ounce maybe 30 or 40, and then the silver's only 2 or 3 over. But as we saw from Saudi Arabia, going to the electric car batteries and the solar panels, if that's real, there goes all your silver. It's going to be $3,000-$4,000 an ounce. If he challenges India in that, it'll be $3-4, and you can get it for $30. So it's not an investment. You're really buying money, right? It's not an investment, but it's something that will go up because the dollar's collapsing and the demand for gold is huge, and silver. And as you can see, I just told you. So that's what you have. All right. Have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Go there. My email is there if you have questions or comments. How do I buy gold or silver or any of that? It's on a lot of my other videos, but if you ever question it, just go to a jewelry store or coin store and have them. There's a machine they have that verifies it. And if you don't know, you're not comfortable, if I sell it back to you, how much do I get? Spot or what? He sells it spot plus premium. That's how he makes his money. And if he says you get spot for it, then you're fine. And I would get spot for this, but it's 18 karat, so it'd be 3/4 a spot. So if spot's 4,000, I'm going to get 3,000 for this coin or this, because he's already saw that it's real. So it's 1 ounce of gold, but there's other things in it. That's what makes it 18 karat. There's other metals in here. So it's 1 ounce of gold plus 1/4 ounce of copper, brass, silver, whatever they use for the necklace. But that's why I get 3/4 of the ounce price back. So anyway, looking forward to that. So soon we'll have gold 3,000. If this is done, if the comex is done, which should be soon, it'll just go up and up and up. There's no profit taking. There's no consolidation. Nobody's stupid enough to sell their gold on the way up. It's like getting off the ride. It's like the snowball going down the hill, and you're going to get off in the middle of the hill. No, take it all the way to the bottom. So you're not selling your gold and silver unless you have to, medical or something, and you have to sell it. Okay. Otherwise, just hold it and keep a little bit of money. $1 goes out to pay for stuff. All right. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com.